Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
And as the countdown is underway before Election Day, both the Harris and Trump campaigns are hitting more key battleground states. Vice President Kamala Harris zeroing in on Pennsylvania today. Former President Trump will be in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And a new poll today breaks down who's voting for who. ABC News political director Rick Klein reports there is a clear gender gap.
Our poll has Trump leading among men by 5 points, Harris up among women by 11. That's a 16-point gender gap, not far from what it is typically. But if you drill down a little bit more inside some subgroups, you see a bigger range. Among independents, that's a 22-point gender gap. Among voters under 30, among younger voters, that is a 45-point gap. That's a huge break for women under 30. That Harris lead is enormous. The fact that Trump has a tiny lead among men doesn't really weigh that out.
And there is more than just the race for the White House that folks will be voting on. In Gwinnett County, they will find a transit referendum on their ballots when they show up at the polls tomorrow. If approved, an additional 1% sales tax would be added on to anything purchased in Gwinnett County for the next 30 years. And over in Cobb County, they'll be deciding the fate of a massive transportation overhaul when they go to the polls tomorrow. The 1-cent sales tax for the mobility splost would allow the county to collect $11 billion over 30 years to add new transit routes, including microtransit and even a connection to the airport. Our in-depth election night coverage will start at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We'll have complete coverage of all the races and results as they come in, and the next morning, too, here on 95.5 WSB. We are your 2024 election station. All right, your weather for today. Cloudy, breezy with light rain and drizzle possible. Highs around 68. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast. That'll come your way at 12:05. A Cherokee County man gets a hefty sentence for stealing more than $1 million from his mother.
Thomas North III is sentenced to 40 years with the first 10 years to serve in prison after pleading guilty to 37 charges. He's accused of neglect, exploitation, and stealing $1.35 million from his mother as her power of attorney. He's also ordered to pay back that entire amount he stole. The Woodstock police investigation began when a family member discovered the victim's bank account was depleted and she was being evicted from her assisted living facility for failing to pay rent. Cheryl Castro, 95.5 WSB.
New at noon, a man is under arrest after a double shooting leaves one person dead in Cobb County. Courtney Woolard of Austell charged with murder and aggravated assault. Police say that Woolard shot 2 people early Sunday at a home on Linworth Boulevard. Police identified the shooting victim as Jeffrey Moore. He died after he was shot in the abdomen. The other shooting victim has not yet been identified. No word on a motive. The suspect is being held without bond at the Cobb County Jail. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is reviewing several videos showing officers punching fans during Saturday's Georgia-Florida game.
Some of the videos have gone viral on social media. Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan comments today, calling the videos disturbing as they await the outcome of an investigation. One video shows officers struggling with spectators as surrounding fans yelled at the officers to stop. A second shows an argument between a man fighting, leaving the man with a bloodied face and handcuffed after he was shot with a stun gun. The sheriff's office says it will not comment until its review is complete. Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
He was award-winning. Quincy Jones has died. His publicist saying he died Sunday night at his home in Los Angeles. Jones' historic career ranged from producing Michael Jackson's record-setting Thriller to prize-winning films and television scores and collaborations with folks like Frank Sinatra, Ray Charles. Quincy Jones was 91 years old. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow right now is down 361 points at 41,690. So the Dow's down almost a full percent. NASDAQ and S&P are also both in negative territory. It's time now for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell's in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
And right now I'm talking about a few brake lights through Alpharetta because of construction. Georgia 400 northbound at Windward Parkway. Exit 11, it knocks out a right lane. Elsewhere, more construction is taking out a left lane. 316 westbound at Cedars Road, causing some brake lights there, trying to get over into the Lawrenceville area. A downtown connector, authorities just cleared a stalled motorist. Connector 7585 northbound before I-20. Just a tap of the brakes, and you are brake tapping on the south side. 75 southbound slows from Highway 138 to Jodico Road. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
It's time now for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored here at noon by Shoemate, the official plumber of Atlanta Homes. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Cloudy skies today, breezy, that east wind gusting 25 miles per hour, so it's going to feel cool through the afternoon, even with a high of 68. An isolated rain shower can't be ruled out. Lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, starting off cloudy with afternoon sunshine, high 77. The clouds roll back in on Wednesday with scattered rain showers on the southeast side of the metro. Daytime high 72. Thursday, morning rain showers give way to sunshine with a high of 75. Friday, partly cloudy, high 78.
It's 59 degrees in Chambly, 61 in Kennesaw. Druid Hills has 62 degrees. We'll have more news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. We got a lot to talk about today, and I'm going to begin not with polling. Now, listen, I will get to the polling. I'll explain the Seltzer poll, the New York Times, Siena, all that sort of stuff to you. But I actually am going to start the show with Peanut. That's right. Pour one out for Peanut. This is a weird way to end the campaign. You know, if Harambe was a harbinger of 2016, maybe the death of the squirrel and Fred the raccoon are a harbinger of what's to come. Signs pointing to Trump. It's just a weird story. So, a man. Turns out he's an OnlyFans guy. He's had a squirrel for 5 years named Peanut. Peanut was a squirrel his mother was run over by a car, and Peanut was tiny and unable to take care of itself, so this guy adopted Peanut, the squirrel, in New York. And Peanut became an online sensation over the years, would run around this apartment wearing a cowboy hat, and the guy also rescued a raccoon. Side note, my wife wants a pet raccoon worse than anything. She is obsessed with raccoons. And I have a friend who's a very prominent national reporter, y'all would all know, who every time there's a violent raccoon attack somewhere, he sends it to me and says, they're going to claw your wife's face off. Tell her not to get one. Yeah, my wife really wants a raccoon. Well, in this case, this guy rescued animals. Now, in New York State, it's against the law to harbor wild animals without a license. And this man was attempting to get a license for Peanut and Fred. Well, backstory here is he's had this squirrel for 5 years now, the raccoon for several years, and the squirrel, Peanut, became an internet sensation. Had its own Instagram account, was on TikTok, millions of views, went viral, and a bunch of online people. They were referred to in the story as Karens, but we try not to use that term to offend our friends named Karen, but that's how they were referred to in the stories. A group of online people, and you know and I know, and this is the term I use, they were awfuls. Affluent female white urban liberals who have too much time on their hands. And the affluent female white urban liberals, the awfuls, they started raising complaints. It's against the law to have a wild animal in your house. You have to let him go. And the guy's point was, this wild animal, the squirrel Peanut, has been in my care since it was a baby. It could not survive outside. He lives inside my home. But the complaining of the internet mob was enough. That the Department of Wildlife showed up at his home and held him for 5 hours while officers attempted to capture Peanut and Fred. Peanut bit one of the officers trying to capture him, and that was enough. They had to check for rabies. Do you know how they check for rabies? Do you know how they check for rabies? They have to sever the heads from the bodies, or at least that's what they like to do. You can't test for rabies with the animal being alive, so the good internet awfuls who badgered and harassed wildlife to liberate Fred and Peanut got Fred and Peanut murdered. The state murdered these two animals. New York State killed Peanut and Fred to test them for rabies. Did the internet horde know that Fred and Peanut would be going to their deaths? I suspect they didn't care. Think about this. The state of New York sent at least 6 officers to this man's apartment to capture a squirrel and a raccoon to murder them. This is why I support small government. Here's my buddy Scott Jennings on CNN.
Well, I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of Peanut the squirrel. God rest his tiny soul. Not since the squirrel that was taught to water ski has a squirrel caught the nation's attention like this one. Now, this squirrel was squirrel napped and murdered by the state of New York. An absurd abuse of government overreach. There are 40 million rats or something in New York, and they executed the only one trained to wear a cowboy hat and had an Instagram account. My condolences to Mark Longo, who cared for Peanut for 7 years, and to the cowardly neighbors who filed the complaints about Mr. Longo's animals, which also included Fred the raccoon. I ask, why are you the way that you are? I hope you're happy, you monsters. R.I.P. Peanut.
I'm not going to.
There you go. Good for 7 years, not 5 years. I thought it was 5 years. 7 years. The squirrel and the raccoon weren't bothering anyone. It was just the internet activists, the mob. They didn't like that the squirrel and the raccoon were captured. This is news anchors in New York on the story. This is actually kind of funny. Those of you on radio cannot see the looks on this anchor's face, but just absolutely incredulous the state of New York would do this.
We have a very disappointing and sad update now on the saga of Peanut the squirrel.
You might have heard this little guy's been making headlines this week, and New York State officials now tell us the pet squirrel has been put down. Authorities seized Peanut from a home in Pine City, New York. It's a little south of Elmira. Apparently, there have been multiple complaints. Peanut's owner says the squirrel's mother was hit by a car, and he'd been taking care of the animal ever since. The owner runs an animal sanctuary and says he knows it's illegal to own a wild animal without a license, and says he was working to get Peanut certified as an educational animal. A raccoon taken during the same raid also put down. The State Department of Environmental Conservation says all this is done to test for rabies. All right, that's what Albany's focusing on. There.
Oh, looks on these two anchors. Y'all, this is absurd government overreach. And this kind of is one of the things the election is about. The neuroses of progressive white women. Because you don't even have to know the names of the people who complained, and you know them. You know, white, wealthy women are the most in-your-face, obnoxious people in America these days. They think they are your boss. They think they control everything. And they are the online hecklers who summon the Department of Wildlife to kill a raccoon and a squirrel because some guy is enjoying their company without their permission. How dare you? You know it's true. Now listen, those of you who are women listening to me right now, if you're not the affluent white female urban liberal who is in everybody else's business, I'm not talking about you, and I think most of you know that. But you know exactly the type of person I'm talking about. You don't have to know anything about the people who complained to know they were a group of affluent white female urban liberals. How dare this guy have a pet squirrel? And this entire election essentially comes down to the neuroses of these affluent female white urban liberals. They're the people at the grocery store who heckle you about whether or not you're going to wear a mask. They're the people who demand you get your 250th COVID shot. They're the people who insist that your child with Down syndrome should probably be aborted to save everybody heartbreak. They're the people who insist that their opinion must be heard and that if you dare to question them, well, you're a misogynistic bigot. They are the people who believe they're going to have to wear a Handmaid's Tale costume if Donald Trump gets elected. It really is absurd. They are neurotic. They are bossy. They are in your face. They are opinionated, and you're not allowed to question them. And they get this look in their face, this mean look. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. They just have to share their opinion. They just have to do it. In this election in 2024, there are a bunch of stupid people on the Republican side. There are. Y'all, listen, the RFK fluoride debate, you know, he says we're going to ban fluoride. You know, fluoride in water is actually one of the health breakthroughs on planet Earth. There is a minimal amount of fluoride in water, but it has solved so many dental problems. You know, in Calgary, in Alberta, Canada, they decided, after listening to the stupid people, to get the fluoride out of water. Do you know dental disease among children went up 700%? Now, yes, there is a judge who has said we actually should see if it has any relation to the IQ. There is a study that fluoride in water at massively, massively, massively higher amounts than what we put in our water can cause brain damage, which we've always known. Fluoride can be a poison at high doses. We put in very minimal doses, and it has solved a massive amount of dental problems. So the stupid people are like, well, it could be making us dumber. Clearly, you have avoided the fluoride, and you're a stupid person. Singapore has 100% mandatory fluoridation in water at levels equal to the United States, and no one's questioning the IQ of their kids. So maybe it's not the fluoride, you morons. We got stupid people on the Republican Party side, the people who embrace RFK as some sort of genius because they can't figure out what's going on, and they're stringing lines together, and they've come up with this idiot as their messiah. The Democrats actually, by and large, all the data shows they do have a higher professional class. They do have people with higher incomes and more college degrees and the like. But here's the problem. They are full of insane, neurotic people. And I suspect this election is going to come down to Americans would rather hang out with the dumb people who question fluoride in water than the neurotic people who will get a squirrel and a raccoon murdered because some guy's having fun on the internet with them. It's the neurotics who are in charge of the Democratic Party. White progressive women have moved the Democratic Party so far to the left, they think it's perfectly fine for a boy to have his private parts cut off and a girl to have her breasts cut off, to conform their body to what their crazy mind says they are. And you're a bigot if you disagree. This election is about the conspiracy theorists versus the neurotics. And I think Americans are going to go with the conspiracy theorists who are dim-witted rather than the neurotics. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, if you want to call in and argue fluoride with me, have at me, because I know what the data is. And I know the massive number of countries that put fluoride in water, and no one's accusing their kids of having low IQs. We just have a bunch of busybodies on both sides. But the busybodies on the right, sure, they want all your children's teeth to rot and ruin America with dumb science that isn't really science. But on the left, they're getting squirrels and raccoons murdered in New York because some man had fun on the internet and, by the way, had rescued the animals. I want a government small enough that it doesn't have enough time or manpower to send 6 officers to spend 5 hours to capture a squirrel that was bothering no one. This is why I'm a small government conservative. I want a government small enough to be drowned in a bathtub if need be. And it's kind of the weird defining story at the end of this election season. A squirrel and a raccoon murdered by the state of New York because a bunch of whiny people on the internet summoned a mob, complained, and they sent law enforcement to capture a squirrel and a raccoon. The perfect story to end campaign 2024 on.
Want to be on the show?
Hello? I love your show.
Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
1220 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. You're running into some delay because of construction. Georgia 400 northbound at Windward Parkway, exit 11, and knocks out a right lane. And it's raining, folks, over in Gwinnett County. Be careful as you travel along on I-85. This report brought to you by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Election day is tomorrow.
She's unfit for office.
And your voice is your power.
Your vote counts.
Everyone knows
and
it.
that's why you can count on us.
We must seize this opportunity.
Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
And beginning at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, listen for our special in-depth election coverage with results and analysis.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
Attention, veterans and active military. In November, Overhead Door Company of Atlanta is doubling our usual veterans discount on all products and services. This means veterans and active military get 10% off all month at Overhead Door Company of Atlanta. Choose a new garage door or any service or repair. Veterans and active military save 10% in November. Schedule a free in-home estimate for your new garage door or schedule your annual garage door tune-up online at overheaddooratlanta.com or call 404 USA Door.
Rodents can be quite crafty, but the squirrel is the smartest of them all. And when it comes to where they live, they don't put all their nuts in one nest. Squirrels have multiple homes, and this time of year, they're looking for new real estate. Don't let your attic become their next retreat. Meteorologist Christina Edwards here for the local experts I trust, Breda Pest Management. It's hard to outsmart a squirrel, but Breda's got your back. A highly trained wildlife expert will secure all entry points, trap and remove the squirrels, dispose of their nesting, plus disinfect and deodorize. It'll be like they were never there. And under the Breda Wildlife Guarantee, if any squirrels return, you're covered at no additional cost. If you're hearing scratching and scampering in your attic, they've already moved in. Better call Breda to kick those squirrels out. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. BREDAPest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
We've all heard it before. Buy one, get one Windows. 10% off if you call today. $500 off if you sign tonight. But are these really a special? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, we want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches, servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years. Their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285, exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
Men, if you're suffering from ED or PE, Priority Men's Medical Center will get your love life back in just one visit. Their painless, breakthrough medical treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments will restore your love life regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. Plus, you'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients will have their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To regain your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
All right, I'm going to explain I was just sending her back an email. I got an email from Karen, who emails sometimes. Why is it wrong for the government to say what pets we can and cannot keep, but it's wrong for me to want government out of adding anything to my drinking water? It's not about the data. It's about forcing something in my body that I, not the government, can choose to add to my diet or not. Fluoride's available as a supplement. It's not necessarily right for everyone to ingest. Problem here is that the amount of cost to you as a taxpayer by not putting fluoride in water, just take Calgary, Canada as an example here, the cost to the government went up exponentially as the healthcare costs for children went up exponentially due to a 700% increase in childhood dental disease when they took fluoride out of the water. So it's all well and good for you to say this in the same way that you can say it's my right to wear a seatbelt or not in my car. It's not bothering anybody, except insurance rates for everybody go up because of it. It's the same principle applied here with public health. It's the same reason that your kids have to have vaccines to go to public school, to avoid spreading vaccines. Just because you are opposed to fluoride, I'm sorry. We have ample data going back to the 1950s about how it has lowered the cost for all of us to put minuscule amounts of fluoride in the water. And by the way, a majority of countries on planet Earth do it. And all the people are saying, well, it causes all sorts of problems. It causes obesity. It causes arthritis. These other countries that have the same level of fluoride and have done it for as long as us, they're not seeing the same problem. Causation and correlation, people so easily get it confused. But the fact of the matter is you are saving yourself and all the rest of us massive piles of money because the government is not having to deal with the dental problems of the children of the poor and the infirmed, and you yourself with your own kids and the amount of problems that your kids would otherwise have with dentistry. Well, we do have before and after data on fluoride in water in this country going back to the 1950s and 60s. We've actually got the data and how much better and cheaper it is now to do dentistry in this country because of it. That's exactly why there's fluoride in our water. You can say, I don't want it, so go buy bottled water and don't drink it. But as for the poor who are not going to go buy bottled water, they're going to buy tap water, they're going to get it from their faucet. It's good for us as a society. I cannot believe we're having a fluoridation. And this is part of the problem with Trump having surrounded himself with morons like Robert Kennedy at the end, who's got us all off talking about fluoride in water instead of anything else with the Trump campaign. Robert Kennedy, the Trump campaign is actually furious with him. They say he went off the rails and hijacked the closing campaign conversation with his tweets about fluoride. But I'm talking about it because it's a story. He made it a story. And frankly, there are going to be a number of people who vote for Kamala Harris, not because they like Harris, but because they really hate these freaks Donald Trump has surrounded himself with and want to keep them far from power. So just keep that in mind. All right. Where am I going now, Kobe? You whispered something and I couldn't hear you. Hillsdale. That's it. Welcome. Hillsdale College. Go to ericforhillsdale.com today, and you can get a free pocket constitution from Hillsdale College. Not only that, you can also get Imprimis. I finished reading my copy of Imprimis. I'll have you know. My mom got hers before I got mine, and she beat me to it, but I have caught up now. Imprimis comes to your mailbox free of charge from Hillsdale College. I've been getting it since law school. You go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com today. You fill out the information, you get a free pocket constitution, you get a free Declaration of Independence. As a matter of fact, there's a woman running for, you may have seen her, she went viral in New Hampshire. She had a pocket constitution. She grew up in a communist country. She read our Constitution, became committed to liberty. She's now running for Congress as a Republican. You can get one from Hillsdale College and Imprimis and the Podcast Network and so much more. Go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com today. Sign up with Hillsdale College. Start a great relationship with Hillsdale College today. ericforhillsdale.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. The presidential candidates are campaigning hard today on this last day of campaigning. Donald Trump starting his day in the battleground state of North Carolina.
We're going to win North Carolina. We're going to defeat Kamala. And we're going to make America great again.
Kamala Harris is in Pennsylvania for rallies there this afternoon. She's trying to capture that state's 19 electoral college votes. The polls have the two presidential candidates virtually tied. Stay here. We will keep you updated on this with complete coverage of the election. Our live coverage starts tomorrow at 6 o'clock and then again the next morning here on 95.5 WSB. Cloudy, breezy today with light rain possible on and off. Highs around 68. We'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. This is new this afternoon. A Rockford, Illinois man's been arrested by FBI here in Atlanta. He was wanted for murdering his girlfriend's 10-month-old baby. The 28-year-old man had 6 outstanding warrants, including domestic battery, stalking, criminal trespassing, burglary, and criminal damage to property. He was arrested by FBI agents here in Atlanta with the help of Atlanta and DeKalb County Police. 6 people arrested at Cumberland Mall following a fight over the weekend. Officers responded to reports of a fight involving multiple groups of teenagers at the mall. Officers said when they arrived, people involved in that fight started to run away. Some resisted arrest. 1 adult, 5 teens were arrested. And now that you've set your clocks back an hour, the Red Cross urging you to make sure that your smoke alarms are working by checking the batteries.
And if your smoke alarm is more than 10 years old, it's time to replace it.
So far this calendar year, local Red Cross volunteers say they've responded to nearly 8,500 people in Georgia impacted by about 2,000 home fires. It's 12:32.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Hey, it's Scott Slade from iRoofer, FGA Roofing. If your home's exterior could use an updated look, or maybe one of your neighbor's designer roofs has caught your eye, and your current roof has started to show its age, then now's the perfect time to check out FGA Roofing for the latest in architectural shingles, timberland shingles, and more. Slate, tile, wood shake, FGA has them all. Make the choice that keeps your home safe and dry while blending beauty, craftsmanship, and longevity. FGA Roofing. Go to firstgaroof.com.
Dreaming of a home renovation and don't know where to start? Looking to add a room or create more space? Before you start to research a contractor or builder, call Sketchhouse Architects. Hi, I'm Richard Taylor, Chief Architect with Sketchhouse. We are changing how homeowners approach home renovation projects by partnering with you to develop architectural designs and drawings for your project before you speak to a contractor or builder. Why should you call an architect first? You'll know precisely what's possible for your project without being limited by the contractor's skills, schedule, or materials. You'll be able to get an estimate of what your project will cost. Builders love drawings and will clear their calendar when a homeowner has architectural drawings in hand. So your project will likely get bumped to the top of their list. And most of all, Sketchhouse offers a simple, flat-fee pricing model that can save you thousands of dollars by avoiding the typical markup of architectural drawings. Bring your home renovation dreams to life at Sketchhouse. That's Sketch, HAUS.com, Sketchhouse.com. And let's get started.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Veronica Harrell.
Talking about delays over on 316 with this construction in a left lane, 316 westbound at Cedars Road. Elsewhere, you are dealing with rain through Gwinnett County, so just be careful out there, folks. And then you have construction at Georgia 400 northbound at Windward Parkway, exit 11 in the right lane over in Alpharetta. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy and breezy today with a few isolated rain showers, high 68.
And we have 60 degrees in Marietta. Sugar Hill has some rain, 56 degrees, and it's 56 right now in Monroe. More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, because the truth is what matters. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. Glad to have you with me. The phone number 877-973-7425. Want to take Chad's phone call from Montgomery, Alabama. Chad, how are you, man?
Hey, what's going on, Eric? Good to talk to you again.
Sure.
So, like all GOP folks right now, I think all of our heads are exploding with all the data from all these polls and so forth. And I know you're going to talk about the Iowa poll here from the Register in a minute, but there's just my gut, and tell me if you agree with this, is that we don't really have to look at the polling data as much, although it's still favorable for Trump overall, because we have so much data on the ground about the early turnout. And so, for example, in Iowa, we've got the GOP with 130,000 vote advantage going into Election Day. In Pennsylvania, they're up. In Arizona, they got 188,000 vote advantage going into Election Day. In Nevada, 45,000. In Florida, this one's a killer, right? 854,000, right? Mm-hmm. And then in North Carolina, they're up 18% from what, this is the GOP, is up 18% in early votes from what they did in 2020. And they even have a lead in early vote in New Jersey. And to me, that just tells me that, the Republicans are definitely energized. I don't think they're balkanizing or they're cannibalizing their Election Day vote. I think the folks who are still energized are going to vote. But everything tells me, and then when you look at the depressed number of minority voters, in which they're showing in Pennsylvania and Georgia and North Carolina, I just don't see how this jives with the sunshine that some of these Democrats and liberals are trying to float here. And I noticed that Jim Messina actually may have spoken the truth over the weekend, and then Obama's former campaign guy who I can't stand. Mm-hmm. But at least Messina's like, you really got to look at these actual things that are on the ground. These people have actually voted, right? So I just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you said that, because this is exactly where I wanted to go with this whole conversation. If you can listen to the streams, I'm going to let you go there. And let me talk about this, because people got freaked out by the Ann Selzer polling. Ann Selzer is the best pollster in America, but she doesn't always get it right. Here's what Ann Selzer does that makes her so unique and actually better than everybody else. She doesn't model her vote based on the last election. So what does that mean? People will go to the 2020 election. They'll say, how many white people, how many black people, how many Asian people, how many Hispanic people, how many old people, how many young people, how many Republicans, how many Democrats. Okay, that's the same model we're going to apply now for 2024. Selzer doesn't do that. Selzer looks at the number of white people and black people and old people and young people and men and women and everyone else in Iowa. And she polls those people. And she asks them, are you going to vote? She does not go pull data on who has voted in the past to make them a likely voter. She does not ask a bunch of questions about people's voting propensities. She just asks, are you going to vote? And if they say yes, she considers them a likely voter. It's actually way more simplistic than other pollsters, and the result is she's gotten better data than everyone else. But she's had clunkers, too. She, for example, projected a Romney win when Romney lost. She projected a Gore win when Gore lost. She doesn't have a perfect record. No pollster does. Here's what makes her unique, in addition to the way she asks polling, and this genuinely makes her stand out. She's willing to put a poll out that's a bad poll. And by the way, she deserves credit for that. Here's the truth. You talk to any data scientist in America, they'll tell you 1 out of every 20 polls by a pollster is going to be an outlier. That is, it's going to deviate from everyone else. What you're seeing in the polling averages right now is hurting. That is, a lot of pollsters don't want to come up at the end and be wrong. Everything suggests it's going to be a close race, so all the pollsters are putting very close polls out. Some polls are deviating from the extreme, and so what are the pollsters doing? They're adjusting their numbers to make it look like everybody else. The New York Times, Siena, and Ann Selzer are two of the very few who don't do that. They're not going to model their polling based on what other pollsters are finding. They're going to put their data out there, and if she's wrong, she's wrong. It's not going to end her career. It actually makes her a more credible pollster to pay attention to. Here's what I think Ann Selzer found, and the New York Times Siena poll and a poll out of Kansas are showing the same thing. There is a late-breaking shift to Kamala Harris of undecided voters. It turns out, whether you want to believe it or not, the kickoff last Sunday at Madison Square Garden for Donald Trump actually left a bad taste in people's mouths. People saw Tony Hinchcliffe come out, make the racist jokes. They saw all the talk about, oh, the Nazis did this, blah, 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 blah. It actually impacted the emotional undecided voters. Remember, an undecided voter right now is an emotional voter, not a reasonable voter. And it did affect them. Whoever put Tony Hinchcliffe on that stage to start that rally should never work in politics again. It was political malpractice. But then came Joe Biden's garbage comment, and then came the jobs numbers, but then came Trump's Liz Cheney statement. And what we have found from the late-breaking undecideds in the deep focus grouping of the undecided voters at the end is that they had made up their minds, you know what, my God, the economy was so much better than his, I'm going to go vote for him. And in this last week, all of these issues from the Trump campaign made him, I don't know that I can actually pull the trigger. I don't want to go through 4 years of that much drama. That was the problem. But, and there's a big but here, I don't know that the shift is enough. There's a wild survey out of Kansas that shows Donald Trump with only a 5-point lead, and it is white women who are the problem. And this goes to the whole raccoon and squirrel story. I think what pollsters are finding, and in fact pollsters are very open about this, is that white liberal women love to talk to pollsters. A white liberal woman wants you to know they're a Kamala Harris supporter. A white liberal woman has the bumper sticker on the car. A white liberal woman has the sign in the yard. A white liberal woman has the camo cap. A white liberal woman has the sweatshirt. A white liberal woman is an advertisement for Harris Walls. And they are the people most likely to talk to the pollsters. So when Ann Selzer says there's been this big shift among older white women towards Kamala Harris, of course, those women are finding the pollsters and calling the pollsters themselves to say, you're never going to guess who I'm voting for. This is a problem that a lot of pollsters are starting to talk about, that older white women are more progressive, the single ones in particular, and they're seeking out they want people to know they're voting for Kamala Harris. And so you can accidentally oversample these people, and I think that's what Selzer did. So, yes, she's picking up a trend that's reflected in the New York Times, but I think it's an oversampling of these people. Trump voters are still the least likely people in America to want to talk to pollsters. They just want to go vote. And what are we seeing from the early vote? Kamala Harris's ads are all over Columbus, Georgia. Columbus, Georgia is a big military town. It is on the border of Alabama. In fact, Chad is calling from Montgomery, Alabama, and the rumor is down there that a bunch of Alabamians have bought a bunch of septic tanks, and when they learn how to drive them, they're going to invade Columbus, coming across the Chattahoochee River from Phoenix City. They hadn't figured out how to drive the septic tanks yet. Columbus, Georgia, big military town. And in Columbus, Georgia, you got the infantry down there, and you got a lot of people who live in the suburbs of Columbus who are very Republican. The suburbs around Muskogee County, Georgia, where Columbus is, are very Republican, but the inside of Columbus is very Democrat. Black voters in Muskogee County have only voted at 80% of the rate they did in 2020 for Joe Biden. The surrounding area, where all the white people, all the Republicans live, is at 110% of turnout from 2020. There are counties in North Georgia that have early voted their entire 2020 vote. In other words, you look at how many people voted early and Election Day in North Georgia, and there are counties where more people have voted early than voted the entirety of 2020, and they're white. You look at any county in Georgia where the black vote is disproportionate, what you find is the early vote is less than it was in 2020. By the way, you go to North Carolina, same thing. The black voters in North Carolina are not turning out at the rate they were in 2020, and white Republican voters are disproportionately turning out. Now, the question is cannibalization. That's what Chad and I were talking about in our phone call. Some Republicans are worried that they've cannibalized their Election Day vote. That is, that the person was going to go vote on Election Day, but they voted early. Well, those are the same vote. So how many more Republicans are going to show up on Election Day than showed up early? If none of them do because they all voted early, well, then you're not going to get a different result from 2020, except the black vote is down. And the amount of black voters who would have to show up on Election Day in Georgia and North Carolina to overwhelm the polls is something that historically has never happened. The odds of it happening now are slim to none. It's never happened before. Those are the things keeping the Democrats up. Those are the things concerning the Democrats right now. And the Democrats, like in Pennsylvania, are saying, but look at the disproportionate number of women who showed up. The problem here is in Pennsylvania, women are disproportionately Democrat. So a woman voter is a Democratic voter in Pennsylvania. That's all you're seeing, is you're seeing the Democratic vote turn out with these women. But likewise, outside of the Philadelphia area, you're not seeing an increase in black vote. Now, that's not to say there are a massive number of black voters in Pennsylvania, but in the Philadelphia area, there are, and they're not turning out. Meanwhile, the working class white voters and Hispanic voters in the Pittsburgh area are showing up to vote early, and they're probably going to show up on Election Day. It's notable that Kamala Harris is going to spend her entire day today in Pennsylvania. Let me give you the map as a lay of the land right now. Democrats should win Nevada based on the polling, but the early vote in Nevada is so much in favor. Republicans have never historically turned out to vote ahead of Democrats in Nevada, and they have. Democrats are going to need to win independent voters by about 7% on Election Day to beat the GOP. Arizona looks to be going for Trump. Georgia looks to be going for Trump. North Carolina looks to be going for Trump. Kamala Harris spent some time in North Carolina there. It looks like she's now given up on North Carolina. Trump started the day there. He's going to be in multiple places in Pennsylvania and then end in Michigan. He's doing more campaign stops than Kamala Harris. If Trump wins, forget Nevada. If Trump wins Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina, Donald Trump only needs to win one of the three Great Lakes states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin. Kamala Harris will have to win all three of the Great Lakes states if Donald Trump wins North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona. She's got to win all three of them. She's got to sweep. And she's only focused in Pennsylvania. It sounds more to me like Kamala Harris is trying to help Bob Casey at this point in Pennsylvania than help herself. It sounds more to me like Kamala Harris is trying to save the Senate for the Democrats than save herself. Donald Trump is going to all the swing states. Kamala Harris is not. That suggests to me that Donald Trump is in this to win and Kamala Harris is in this to minimize damage for the Democrats. You can only extrapolate so much from the early voting trends. But what you can extrapolate is this. Republicans overall have voted at rates we have not seen since George W. Bush's successful reelection campaign in 2004. And Democrats in Georgia, I can tell you from talking to Democrats in Georgia, they are very horrified by the early voting number for Democrats. They're not disappointed. They're horrified by the early vote in Georgia right now. The black vote in Georgia did not show up early for the first black female potential president of the United States. And by the way, the same thing has happened in North Carolina, and they are very perturbed by it. one of the most aggressive groups out there for the GOP right now, knocking on doors, is Americans for Prosperity. They would love to have you join them as a interested party in fighting for common sense conservative solutions in this country. They can teach you how to be an effective advocate for those solutions. They can teach you how to be a door knocker and to persuade your neighbors, how to go to your state government, your local government, and advance common sense conservative reforms. They'd love to have you on board with them. All you have to do is go to americansforprosperity.org/volunteer today. americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. They give you all the research they have on common sense conservative solutions, from school choice to fighting for families and small businesses. They teach you how to be an advocate to your friends, to your family, to your neighbors, to be a persuasive person for common sense conservative reform. And they're also willing to teach you how to be a real boots on the ground activist if you want to be. They're the largest leading conservative grassroots group. They happen to be on the right. americansforprosperity.org/volunteer. Go check them out today.
When the world seems crazy, he'll keep you sane. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
12:15, the Cool Break Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Well, right now you are running into delays over in Norcross because of a stalled motorist. 85 northbound at Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. It takes out a left lane. This report brought to you by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Election day is tomorrow.
I will stop the invasion.
We are focused on the future.
Your vote counts. That's why
You can count on us.
We need the American dream.
We are about fighting for our future. Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
And beginning at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, listen for our special in-depth election coverage with results and analysis.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, to discuss one of the biggest blind spots that people face when saving for retirement, and it's a head-scratcher. Chris, how do so many people not know what they're invested in?
That's the biggest flaw that everybody runs into. They think they know what equities they have, they think they know what bonds they have, but they really don't know how those mutual funds or how those index funds are performing in conjunction with one another. So, I would liken this to a big pot of soup, and we're just throwing all the ingredients in the refrigerator in this thing. It's not very good. It's just a mishmash of stuff. And sometimes you like the way it tastes. Sometimes you don't. And when you don't know why. You don't know if you got too much chicken in there or too much vegetables in there or what's going on. And I ask every caller that comes in for an initial consultation, do you know how your portfolio is broken down? And they say, well, I've got, 20 or so options in my 401k, and I just picked 2 of them or 3 of them. I thought I needed some international. I thought I needed some U.S. equities. I thought I needed some bonds. And they're just guessing. So you have to absolutely know what you're invested in, and that's where we will run the 401k portfolio x-ray for you, because that'll break it down. If you're not proficient at investing and don't understand this world, we will walk you through it. Not knowing what you're invested in is a big hindrance to growing and protecting your money. We will run a portfolio x-ray for you and educate you on exactly what's in your portfolio.
Set up a time to get your complimentary portfolio x-ray today. Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858. That's 404-737-3858, or book online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Do you think you need to renovate your kitchen, but you're worried about the costs? Well, Frugal Kitchens can help you get $1 million looking kitchen for a fraction of the cost and 18 months, no interest financing available. The best part, they can get you back up and cooking in 5 days from the start of construction. Life happens in your kitchen. That's where you build so many memories. If you're like Christy and me, that's why we use Frugal Kitchens, and you can too. FrugalKitchens.com is the website. Go check them out. Don't forget, 18 months, no interest financing available. FrugalKitchens.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering the finest selection of unique European jewelry designs. Lee Brandt has natural and lab-grown diamonds with a large selection of engagement ring settings. Lee Brandt has serviced Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their trained watchmaker will service your Rolex in store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs, or visit LeeBrandt.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Greetings, conversationalists. The phone number 877-973-7425. Braden from Flagler Beach, Florida. Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show. How are you?
Hi, Eric. It's Brandon.
Ah, Brandon.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. No problem. Big fan of your show. My wife and I are both. So my question for you is on immigration. So if the Republicans take the White House, the House, and the Senate, this seems awfully simple to me, but why wouldn't they legislate that anyone crossing the border illegally is ineligible for citizenship and hence voting in future elections?
Oh, I think they might try that. Now, the problem is, of course, the filibuster in the U.S. Senate. They would have to get 60 votes unless they're somehow able to tie it to reconciliation, which, since it's not about fiscal measures, they probably couldn't. But they may be able to do some big compromise, or at least turn it into a major political issue with the Democrats. I suspect you're going to see a massive flight voluntarily from this country of illegal immigrants if Donald Trump gets elected. And I think they'll start packing up, and we'll start seeing them leaving on Wednesday if Donald Trump gets elected, Brandon. Thanks for the phone call. I said Brandon, and Charlie did write it out right. I got Braden. My buddy Braden had his birthday party on Saturday, and I wanted to go. And I want you guys to know, some of you were sending me emails. I was complaining on Friday. My mouth hurt so bad from these adjustments to the braces. And everybody kept saying, it's going to get better. It's okay. You got to give it a few days. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And by Friday, I honestly was thinking of pulling an audible and just telling my board op, you got to roll tape. I can't do this. It hurts so bad to talk. And everybody's like, oh, don't be a wimp, whatever. I had a very sleepless night on Friday night. I hurt so bad. And on Saturday, I finally had enough. I literally bought dental pliers from Amazon and was going to take them out myself. Instead, I called the orthodontist office. He's like, let me look at them. Sure enough, the wire had slid out of place and had gone into the lining of my gum and wrapped around, and I had just this massive ulceration in my mouth. He was able to take care of it. It feels way better. It still hurts, but boy, is it way better. And everybody's like, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Sure enough, it wasn't in my head. It was a real issue. Thank goodness. Gosh. Okay, this hour of the program brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you're in the business of business and you're looking to grow, reach out to First Liberty Building and Loan. They love to help businesses grow. They've been making their own business decisions since the 90s. FirstLibertyGA.com. FirstLibertyGA.com. Reach out to them. Tell them I sent you. And see, my friends, what they might be able to do for you. When we come back, you need to be here for the next hour, but for the next half hour in particular, here's a story. It's not getting a lot of coverage, but did you know that the Chinese right now are reading every one of your text messages? Did you know this? Unless you've got an iPhone, the Chinese are reading every single one of your messages right now.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
News,
weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news sponsored by Hip Nation. Update on election 2024. This presidential election eve, Fulton County officials this afternoon are reassuring residents and the nation that they're ready to host a top-tier election.
County Commission Chair Rob Pitts knows Fulton County will be in the spotlight Tuesday and is quick to note several audits and investigations determined previous criticism and suspicion were baseless.
Everyone concluded that our elections were open, fair, and transparent.
The county says that's going to continue in new and improved fashion with their streamlined new elections hub. Elections Board Chair Sherry Allen expects results being posted by 8 p.m.
Whoever the residents have voted for, my job is not to be partisan. I'm here to represent all the residents of Fulton County.
Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
And our in-depth election night coverage will start at 6 o'clock. We'll have complete coverage of all the races and results as they come in, and the next morning on 95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station. Your weather for this afternoon, cloudy, breezy with light rain and drizzle possible throughout the afternoon with a high around 68, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. New this afternoon, a Rockford, Illinois man is behind bars. He was arrested by FBI here in Atlanta. He was wanted for murdering his girlfriend's 10-month-old baby. That 28-year-old man had 6 outstanding warrants in addition to that, including domestic battery, stalking, criminal trespass, and burglary. He was arrested by FBI agents with the help of Atlanta and DeKalb County police. A man's under arrest after a double shooting leaves one person dead in Cobb County. Courtney Woolard of Austell charged with murder and aggravated assault. Police say that Woolard shot 2 people early Sunday at a home on Linworth Boulevard. Police identifying the shooting victim as Jeffrey Moore. He died after he was shot in the abdomen. The other shooting victim has not yet been identified. No word on a motive. That suspect's being held without bond this afternoon at the Cobb County Jail. In Hall County, a Gainesville woman's been busted on drug charges. According to police, 52-year-old Angela Reese was transporting large amounts of methamphetamine into Carroll County. She was caught during a traffic stop with drugs in her car. When police searched her hotel room in Villa Rica, they found even more meth. She's now facing some serious drug charges. Tropical Depression 18 expected to become a tropical storm. Tropical Storm Raphael this afternoon or tonight. We'll be watching. According to meteorologists, this storm will move west of Florida into the central Gulf of Mexico and could threaten coastal areas of Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana by the weekend. It's 102.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric Erickson. Let's talk about second opinions. When you get diagnosed with something, you want another doctor to take a look, give you their advice, you get a second opinion. Maybe you should consider getting a second opinion on your health insurance plan. Hip Nation can give you that second opinion. You know, you're paying outrageous premiums. You've got employees who can barely afford insurance for themselves, much less have their families, or maybe you can't even afford to offer anything to your employees at all. Look, as a small business owner myself, I know the struggles of trying to provide quality health care for your employees, and you're busy. Well, take the time to go to hipnation.com, and you'll get a free quote. You'll find you've got other options for health care for your employees. Why continue to pay so much for health insurance when there's another better option? Go to hipnation.com. Get your second opinion today. Hip Nation has better health care, lower costs. Yes, it actually is possible. Hipnation.com. That's HIPnation.com. Go check them out today.
The biggest mistake a homeowner can make when doing an addition or home renovation is they go right to a builder or contractor. This is a reasonable mistake to make. But why? Because you need a plan. You need architectural documents to convey your ideas to a builder. Hi, I'm Richard Taylor, Chief Architect with Sketchhouse. Let's get those marvelous ideas out of your head and onto paper, and now the power is in your hands. Builders will clear their calendars for you if you have architectural drawings in hand. Visit sketchhouse.com, sketch, H-A-U-S.com, and let's get started.
There's a new spider in town, the Joro spider. Have you seen these huge black and yellow spiders on massive webs? Dave Baker here for Breda Pest Management. The Joro spider multiplies quickly. Without eliminating them, they'll build massive webs that could cover your entire house. Knocking down their web does not solve your problem either. You need Breda to locate and destroy the Joro spider. Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters like spiders.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285 exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
Ramjack has the highest quality foundation repair products. Nothing will perform as well. Doug Turnbull here. That's why Ramjack backs their work with a fully transferable life of the structure warranty. Get your free estimate. Just Google Atlanta Ramjack.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Veronica Harrell has a look at the roads.
And better news over in Norcross. The crash is cleared. 85 northbound up around Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. Still, you're dealing with some brake lights. You are slowing and going through Lawrenceville because of construction. 316 westbound at Cedars Road is over in the left lane. And elsewhere downtown, just a few brake lights, 75, 85 north and south. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy skies today. A few isolated rain showers possible. High 68. Lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, starting off cloudy with sunshine in the afternoon. High 77. The cloud cover returns on Wednesday with scattered rain showers. High 72.
As we take a look at WSB Storm Tracker radar, looks like some light rain in Gwinnett County right now. Sandy Springs, you have 62 degrees. Tucker, it's 60 degrees. And here in Midtown Atlanta, our current temperature is 61. We'll have more news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, my friends. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be delighted to have you. You just got to be patient with me. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and I got to switch gears here real quick because I got to get to the China story. However, before I get to the China story, I got to tell you, Jim Messina on MSNBC told their viewers the early vote numbers are a little scary. That's his quote. The Trump campaign has just released a public memo, and let me read this to you. With early voting closed and Election Day on the horizon, Democrats are facing a massive turnout deficit. In every single battleground state, we see President Trump and Republicans outperforming elections passed in absentee ballots and early votes cast. As we dig deeper into the data, Democrats are facing a precipitous decline in urban turnout, according to their own data experts. Obama's former campaign chairman or manager, Jim Messina, told MSNBC, quote, the early vote numbers are a little scary. According to NBC News, President Trump has a 16-point lead among voters who plan to cast their ballot on Election Day. Obama's chief campaign strategist, David Axelrod, told CNN that there are no guarantees that voters will turn out on Election Day for Vice President Harris. According to the Democratic data expert Tom Bonner of Target Smart, urban turnout is down 385,000 votes compared to 2020. Female turnout is down 170,000 votes compared to 2020. Rural turnout is up 14,124 votes compared to 2020. In Georgia, urban turnout is down 153,846 votes. Female turnout is down 46,000 votes. Rural turnout is up 171,837 votes. In Michigan, urban turnout is down 321,523 votes compared to 2020. Female turnout is down 204,856 votes. Rural turnout is up 55,951 votes. In North Carolina, urban turnout is down 175,470 votes. Female turnout is down 154,459 votes. And rural turnout is up 26,911 votes. In Nevada, urban turnout is down 191,000 votes, and female turnout is down 126,000 votes. They don't have a rural number in Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin because of the way the voting shows. In Pennsylvania, urban turnout is down 381,000, female turnout down 450,000 compared to 2020. In Wisconsin, urban's down 100,000 and female down 238,000 compared to 2020. Those are notable numbers, and those numbers come from the Democrats, not from the Republicans. And that comes as Jim Messina is on MSNBC saying the early voting numbers are scary, and David Axelrod is on CNN saying Kamala Harris isn't going to win Election Day voting. Now, again, the question is cannibalization. Are Republican numbers offset now compared to Election Day voting? We don't know, but the odds are they're not. So that does look good for Donald Trump headed into tomorrow. Now, stick around for the bottom of the hour on this. I'll take some phone calls here in a little bit, but I got to talk about the story because this is not getting enough airtime. There is a story that should send a chill up your spine. The Chinese have been able to hack the surveillance and wiretapping system that American telecom companies built for the use of the U.S. federal law enforcement agencies after 9/11. And they are currently in the system using it. Millions of mobile phone users on the network of 3 U.S. carriers are subject to Chinese government surveillance. In particular, the SMS and RCS system. So if you are an Apple user, if you're an iPhone user, Charlie, and you are texting other iPhone users, you get that blue chat bubble, you've got nothing to worry about. But if you're trading green chat bubbles with friends, if you're on the Android system, if you're on any other cell system that's not an iPhone, the Chinese are literally reading everything you have and able to snoop into your phone calls as well. Josh Rogan of the Washington Post is pointing this out. Several officials told me that targets identified by the intelligence community are senior government officials and top business leaders. It's much more serious and much worse than even what you presume at this point, says Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Senator Warner of Virginia. It's one of the most serious breaches in my time on the Intelligence Committee. The officials said the number of compromised targets identified in the investigation is growing. Multiple officials briefed by investigators said the U.S. government does not know how many people were targeted, how many were surveilled, how long the Chinese hackers have been in the system, or even how to get them out of the system. Right now, China has the ability to listen to any phone call in the United States, whether you're the president of the United States or a regular Joe. It makes no difference, said one of the victims, according to a briefing given to him by the FBI. This has compromised the entire telecommunications infrastructure of the country. The Chinese government could use its infiltration of the telecom network to disable them during warfare, for instance. The network collected from Americans, the information collected from Americans could be used for blackmail or disinformation. Not only are they potentially inserting malware to disrupt the telecommunications system, it's a surveillance system where they're compiling data on all of us. And here's the key point here. The government of the United States, led by Joseph Robinette Biden, the current president of the United States, has no idea how to get them out of the system. Let me say this again. The Chinese government is actively right now infiltrating the major telecom companies and our cell phone networks in this country. The Chinese government at this very moment has the ability to listen to your phone calls and read all of your text messages unless they're sent through iMessage. They can use that information to blackmail you. They can use that information to shut down our wireless telecom system. They can use that information to insert malware. They can use that information against the United States. It is the most massive security breach of our telecommunications system ever. And they're using the backdoor system developed by telecom companies after 9/11 for the United States government to be able to root out terrorism. And our government is doing nothing. This is a hard thing to talk about at the close of a political campaign when people are focused on the economy, they're focused on illegal immigrants. But this is a massive story. This is a massive big deal. Jamie Dimon, the chairman of Citibank, or Citigroup, I guess. The Citigroup, no, it's Chase. It's JP Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon. He says World War III has already started. And I don't necessarily think he's wrong. Certainly a Cold War period. Right now, China seems to be winning. Decline is a choice, and we seem to have chosen decline. The United States government has difficulty right now in Joe Biden's administration putting ships to sea, fixing submarines that need fixing, manufacturing weapons systems and ammunition at sufficient rates. We're dependent on the Chinese for microchips. And all of Chinese industrial capacity is militarized by the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army. And we're doing nothing about it. Think about that balloon that flew over in February of last year. Got all the way across the United States, snooping and collecting data. The Biden administration decided it was far better to allow the Chinese to spy on all of us than shoot it down, even over the mountains of the Rockies and the wide territory of Montana, lest it fall on someone. Have to wait for it to get all the way across the United States and go into the ocean. And they claimed that they were able to jam it so that it couldn't actually get information, but only after the fact. They say, actually, that's not true. It's remarkable. We've gotten weaker. And this is the Biden-Harris administration. Kamala Harris is involved in this. This is a massive breach of our national security for which they haven't done anything. These are the sorts of issues that will shape the election. These are the sorts of issues that will shape the future of this country. These are the sorts of issues that are going to shape our ability to respond to China. And what we have in the Biden administration are a bunch of nonprofit academics who have taken over our national security apparatus, who do not particularly like the United States and certainly don't like Israel. And they've been caught flat-footed by this. The Chinese are in it to win it. Our academics are in it to lecture us and scold us. It's part of the problem here. The Biden administration overwhelmingly, the Obama administration actually set the record for most academics in an administration. The overwhelming number of people who worked for Barack Obama had never had a job in the private sector, and Joe Biden has actually beaten that record. Joe Biden now has more people in the Biden administration who worked in academia and nonprofits and not the private sector. And the academics have put us all behind. You know, John McCain, for all of his faults, said that Anthony Blinken was one of the most worthless public servants in America and should never be let anywhere near power. And then Joe Biden gets into the White House and makes him Secretary of State. Jake Sullivan's not much better. You know, Jake Sullivan's wife is running for Congress in New Hampshire. Did y'all see the clip of the lady? She immigrated from Asia, not from China, I think, but in very broken English. She's running as a Republican. She's the one who got the pocket constitution, read it, and became a conservative, supported liberty. She's running for Congress, and she doesn't have fantastic English. She's running as a Republican against Jake Sullivan's wife, who was just snide and arrogant in that debate against this Chinese immigrant lady, or Asian immigrant lady. We got a lot of people in this country who have fled the communists who would love to help. They're shut out of the Biden administration. This is a major national security breach. The Chinese have infiltrated all of our wireless telecommunication services. And you know one of the things you can do with wireless telecom now, you can track people. You find out someone's phone, you can track them wherever they go. You can track them across the country. The New York Times showed how this data can be used to identify key individuals and then follow them wherever they go. The Chinese now have that capacity. The Chinese now have access to all your text messages. They have all the data that you're downloading to your phone. You're looking at a pornographic site, the Chinese know. Your phone calls, they know what you're saying to your friends. Everybody needs to call a friend today and insult Xi Jinping. So the Chinese have it. Everybody needs to call a friend today and talk about the Tiananmen Square massacre, because I bet the Chinese soldiers listening to your phone calls have no idea about the Tiananmen Square. China has compromised our national security. They've compromised our cell services. And the most damning indictment of all is that the Biden administration has no idea what to do about it. And the President of the United States is back in Delaware, back on vacation.
He'll do the research and give it to you straight. Eric Erickson is live every weekday.
120 in the Cool Rate Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Well, folks, you're running into delays over in Alpharetta. It's because of construction at Georgia 400 northbound, just a little north of Windward Parkway. Exit 11, it's over in the right lane. This report brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Save for Thanksgiving at Whole Foods Market. Prime members get $365 by Whole Foods Market. Frozen whole turkey for $149 per pound through December 3rd while supplies last. Shop in store or online. Terms apply. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
The polls say it's a dead heat.
The fate of our nation is in your hands.
Election day is tomorrow.
Your vote is your voice.
Whatever happens in this election,
I'm going to bring you jobs back.
I'm feeling very optimistic.
We've got election day covered.
tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
You got to get out and vote. Just go out and vote.
We are focused on the future.
95.5 WSB.
Your 2024 election station.
It's Eric. Are you thinking of adding value to your house, or just you want more convenience and more comfort in your kitchen? Frugal Kitchens can get you one of those $1 million home kitchens at a fraction of the cost. They want to talk to you about how you can go through their process, get your new dream kitchen up and going, and you can be cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get 18 months no interest financing available. It's what Christy and I have done. Life happens in your kitchen, and Frugal Kitchens can put you in a great one. FrugalKitchens.com.
City of Hope. We're more than just a top-ranked cancer hospital. For over 100 years, we've been making breakthroughs, pushing the limits of what's possible, targeting cancer at the molecular level, pioneering treatments used worldwide. At City of Hope, your entire cancer-fighting team is bound together by a single mission: to cure your cancer. And now City of Hope is closer than ever, providing patients in Metro Atlanta the cancer care they deserve. Learn more at cityofhope.org.
How would you like some new windows for your home? Yeah, you. Guess what? Today is buy one, get one. And we'll throw in a brand new top-of-the-line gutter system. And guess what? If you call right now, it's half price. But you have to call right now or the deal goes away. Hi, this is Candace with Exovations, and have I got a tip for you. Don't fall for it. It's exhausting trying to keep up with all the fake specials being offered. And we all say the same thing. We're all licensed, we're all insured, we all have 5-star reviews. At Exovations, we want to earn your business the right way. But don't take our word for it. Let us show you why we say we are different from other contractors. To find out what it means to have an on-time, on-budget, and stress-free renovation, call me today at 770-205-2995 or online at exovations.com. That's exovations.com.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Y'all, it's Eric. Listen, owning a business is challenging. I know, particularly with economic turmoil, every dollar matters. Every wasted minute is wasted money. You want your team as proficient and sharp as ever. That's why I use Vision Computers, and you should too. At Vision Computers, they do managed service for $179 per computer per year. One of the smartest investments you can make to keep your team and your company running smoothly. Call them at 404-COMPUTER. Go to visioncomputers.com. Picture this. No more downtime, no more tech frustrations, no more wondering if your systems are secure. Vision Computers takes care of everything with fast, reliable tech support from professionals ready to help, typically in less than 15 seconds. They've got over 4,000 Google 5-star reviews. They know what they're doing. And when you buy a PC from Vision, you're not just getting a computer, you're getting a system tailored to your exact needs. Give them a call, 404-COMPUTE, or go to visioncomputers.com. Vision Computers can build you what you need, but even if you didn't buy from them, they can be your tech support solution. 404-COMPUTE.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
Hello and welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Let me go to Bart's phone call here. Welcome to the show, Bart. How are you?
Yeah, hey, Eric. Hey, thanks a lot. Hey, I got a nice anecdotal story for you. My older sister, lives up in Springboro, Ohio. No, not Springfield, not the cat-eating places, but she does refer to that as not necessarily false. Anyway, we were talking yesterday. She was very nervous about it, but she told me the story about back in 2016, her subdivision was packed with Trump signs. And, every house had a Trump sign back then. And then in 2020 and now 2024, none whatsoever. And all her neighbors are voting for Trump. And she feels the same way, that everybody's just afraid to show it. And that's why the polling may be very off.
Yeah, I think the data, and I just saw Patrick Affini, who's a great pollster, longtime friend of mine, putting up data like the Ann Selzer poll and the Marist poll, and the I forget the third one. The ones that have Kamala Harris ahead are the ones that do not consider the education of the voter. And it is much more likely, we know from the data, that educated, well-off white women are the people most likely to want to talk to pollsters. When you factor in education and you poll for people based on education, the race is either tied or Trump slightly ahead. And I just have a sneaking suspicion that what we are seeing in some of these polls is a willingness of white progressive women to decide that they're the ones who are going to talk to the pollsters. And if you're not adjusting for the propensity of these highly educated white progressive women to talk to pollsters, you're going to get a poll that disproportionately shows that she's ahead. Now, at the same time, I do think there's a shift at the end. In fact, if you take all the polling together, and again, look at the average and look at the trends, and the trend has been at this last minute to see a slight shift towards Kamala Harris. And in a very close election, that could matter, and you could actually get a blowout by Kamala Harris on Election Day. But my suspicion is still that Trump's going to win when you look at the polling that corrects for education oversampling. Now, I got to tell you about Vision Computer right now. My friends at Vision, and I need to flag something for all of you. Yeah. I talk about them all the time, but just listen to me here. If you're in Sacramento, California, my affiliate KSTE, or you're up at WTIC or WICC up in Connecticut, even though Vision's based in Atlanta, they can help your business too. Any one of you nationwide, you can call them at 404-COMPUTE. For $179 a year per computer, they can be your tech support. So, for example, you need a computer, you got a computer already, so you don't need a new computer, but you need someone who can remote in and fix something on your computer. Vision can do that for you, whether you're in Sacramento or Connecticut or Atlanta or Miami, doesn't matter. And all your employees, if you have them for your company, can call Vision, and you get a special phone number. 15 seconds or less, you get the answer to what you need. All you have to do is call them at 404-COMPUTE today or go to visioncomputers.com. And if you tell them Eric Erickson sent you, you're going to save even more money. They can also build you machines that save you money and last you a long time. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. Today is the last day of the 2024 campaign. Former President Trump holding 4 rallies in 3 states, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Michigan. Kamala Harris will be spending the entire day in Pennsylvania, culminating with a rally in Philadelphia with Oprah Winfrey. Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes is the key prize among the 7 all-important battleground states. And one of them is Georgia. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says around-the-clock efforts are underway to make sure that Election Day is smooth here.
Your local election officials will work around the clock tomorrow to ensure everything runs smoothly.
And he says early and absentee ballots accounting for 70% of voters, and those will be reported by 8 p.m. tomorrow night, give or take. So he does expect results pretty quickly tomorrow. Our in-depth election night coverage will start at 6 o'clock. We will have complete coverage of all the races and results as they come in, and the next morning, too, here on 95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station. Cloudy, breezy today with showers or areas of drizzle, highs around 68, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. FBI Atlanta nabs a suspect out of Rockford, Illinois. The 28-year-old man was wanted for killing his girlfriend's 10-month-old baby. He was taken into custody by FBI agents with the help of Atlanta and DeKalb County Police. In Cobb County, a man's under arrest after a double shooting there. It leaves 1 person dead. Courtney Woolard of Austell charged with murder and aggravated assault. Police say that Woolard shot 2 people early Sunday at a home on Linworth Boulevard. Police identifying the victim as Jeffrey Moore. He died after he was shot in the abdomen. The other shooting victim is not yet identified. No word on a motive. That suspect being held without bond at the Cobb County lockup. And the age of first-time homebuyers is older than ever before. 38 years old now. A generation ago, the typical age of a first-time homebuyer was in their late 20s. And according to the National Association of Realtors, first-time homebuyers between July of last year and June of this year were also wealthier, with a record number of Americans using an inheritance to help finance a down payment on their first home. It's 1:32.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
It's my favorite time of year. I love spending time with family, enjoying delicious, nutritious food and bread. That's right, real bread, not the enriched stuff you see on the shelves. This is Sue from Bread Beckers in Woodstock with Sue's Healthy Minute. My family and I were blown away by the health benefits of making real bread from freshly milled whole grains. After more than 30 years in business, we have heard thousands of stories from satisfied customers who found improved health from eating real bread. We invite you to come check out the Bread Becker store in Woodstock this holiday season. We We offer a complete line of grains, beans, sweeteners, and more. Our top-of-the-line kitchen equipment or infused oils and vinegars are sure to be the perfect gift for that special someone. Let us teach you how to make your own real bread to improve your family's health. Take that first step to a healthier life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Are you a builder in need of permit documents today? Sketchhouse Architects is approaching architecture in a way never seen before with next day architectural services. Our fees are incredibly low and our quality is very high. Sketchhouse is a full-service architectural firm with multiple licensed architects on staff that will fast-track your project from cocktail napkin sketch all the way through permitting without slowing you down. Don't get caught with a stop work order. Call Sketchhouse Architects and let's get started. Visit sketchhouse.com. That's sketch, H-A-U-S, sketchhouse.com.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Here's Veronica Harrell.
Right now, just talking about a few brake lights as you travel through the downtown area, 75, 85 north and southbound. And as construction 316 westbound at Cedars Road in the left lane, slowing things down for you out in Lawrenceville. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy and breezy today with a few isolated rain showers, high 68.
More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, very happy to have you. Y'all, you can laugh. My daughter has decided she wants to go to she wants to go with some friends to Chicago after Christmas. One of her college friends she's gotten to know lives in Chicago, and they were going to drive up, or they were going to fly up and then drive back. Well, when my kid found out how many people were going to be piled in the car together on the way home, she's like, "Hi, can I fly back?" I was like, "Look, I got plenty of frequent flyer miles. Don't worry about it. We can fly you up, and sit with the friends in the back of the plane. I'm not sending you to Chicago first class." She's like, "Fine." So I booked the ticket, and I click submit and get the itinerary immediately followed by, "You've been upgraded to first class." Like, I didn't want her to be in first class. She's very excited about it. Me, not so much. All right, welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Those of you who are on the phones, be patient. I want to get to you, but I've got to actually do something rather important at this moment. I want to go through the state of play for you. First of all, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to the show notes so that for Election Day you get this. I have made sure. In fact, I'm gonna send this video monologue out tomorrow, and in tomorrow's show notes, I've already written them because let's be honest, there's not going to be any news tomorrow until the polls close. But I want to give you the state of play. And here's what I want you to know about tomorrow. And I'm going to do this all over again tomorrow as well. That's how strongly I feel about this needs to be said. So let me give you the state of play for tomorrow. At about 10 a.m. tomorrow, exit polling is going to be released. And that exit polling is going to be wrong. And I just need you to know the exit polling is going to be wrong. Why? Because the exit polling is released in 3 waves. The first wave is in the morning, and it is a compilation of early voting and early morning voting. The second wave at noon is the people who voted mid-morning to noon. The third wave is when the polls start to close in the evening after 5 o'clock. That exit polling you can pay attention to. Why? Why can't you pay attention to the early? So the early exit polling is unadjusted. It's raw data. You don't know when you get the early morning exit polling how many black people voted, how many white people, how many Hispanic people, how many men, how many women, how many old people, how many young people. You don't get any of the demographics. You just get the raw data. You don't get it for the midday exit polling either. And so you have this, if a whole lot of white people vote between 9 a.m. and noon, the exit polling you're going to see is going to make it look like Donald Trump is a crushing victory. If a bunch of women and black voters line up first thing in the morning, there's going to be this massive crushing victory for Harris. At the end of the day, what the exit pollsters do is they go back into the data for early voting and day of voting, and they look at how many Hispanic people actually voted, how many black people actually voted, how many men voted, how many women voted, how many Asians voted, how many people 65 and up voted, how many people 45 to 55 voted, how many people 55 to 65 voted, how many people 18 to 25 voted, how many 25 to 35 voted, how many 35 to 40. They make all these adjustments based on the actual numbers of people who voted and their demographic characteristics. How many college-educated people voted, how many people with a post-grad degree voted, how many people who are working class voted. And they take all of those numbers and apply them through computer modeling to the exit polling. And what you get is the most accurate sampling of Americans every 2 years. The exit polling in this country are the most accurate polls. They are polls relied on by everyone, and they are polls that never ask who you voted for. What the exit polling does is it asks why you're voting. What is your big issue? So if you get the adjusted exit polling in the evening, and it shows that 75% of women are voting for abortion rights, and women make up 60% of the vote, you know this is going to be a blowout for Kamala Harris. If, however, it shows the number one issue is the economy, and the majority of people voted believe the country is headed in the wrong direction right now, you know Donald Trump has won. But you can't believe the morning and the midday exits. You have to wait for the exit polling in the evening that has made the adjustments based on the demography of the people who are actually voting. You have to wait for the exits in the evening. Don't be fooled. So now, how does it work? Tomorrow at 7 p.m., Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, and Virginia will have closed their polls. Now, Indiana and Kentucky close at 6 p.m., not 7 p.m. But they close, they're divided into two time zones. And so all of Indiana and all of Kentucky will be closed by 7 p.m. At 7:30, North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia will close. North Carolina, swing state, 16 votes. Georgia, swing state at 7 p.m., 16 votes. At 8 o'clock p.m., Alabama, Connecticut, Delaware, D.C., Florida, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Tennessee all close. And again, for Florida and Tennessee, they're split over time zones, so that's the latest poll closings. At 8:30, Arkansas closes, 6 electoral college votes. At 9 p.m. is the big one. Why? Because at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Arizona, Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Minnesota, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, South Dakota, Texas, Wisconsin, and Wyoming close. So at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, every one of the swing states except Nevada will be closed. And at 10 o'clock, Montana, Nevada, and Utah will close. At 11 p.m. Eastern Time, California, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington close. 12 a.m. Eastern Time on November 6th, Hawaii closes. At 1 a.m. Eastern Time, November 6th, Alaska closes, and that's the end. Most of the states will this time count the absentee and early vote before they count the day of vote. So you hear about the blue shift overnight, and Republicans have used this as a conspiracy theory, and it's not a conspiracy theory. I know many of you want to consider this some sort of wild conspiracy theory. Here's what actually happens. In most states in the past, the election day vote is counted first. And Republicans tend to turn out more on election day, and so it looks really good. And then once the election day vote is totaled, they start totaling the absentees, and they count the absentees, and they count the early vote. And Democrats vote early and absentee. And so you see this big shift to the Democrats. And Republicans, this is a conspiracy theory. Look, they're adding votes to the Democrats. No, you idiots. It's that they counted the absentee and early vote after they counted Election Day. A lot of states, because of this conspiracy theory, are flipping it. And so you'll actually see the early and absentee before you see the day of. Wisconsin's not. Wisconsin's going to be a problem, just so you understand, and Pennsylvania, too. It could take those a while to come in. But Georgia is going to have its early and absentees processed by 8 p.m., Florida is the gold standard. Florida does its elections better than anybody. Florida will close at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Florida actually closes at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, but the Panhandle is in the Central Time Zone, so it closes at 7 p.m. Central Time, which is 8 p.m. our time. Now, here's what's going to happen. And again, no conspiracy theory. Let's take the state of Vermont. The polls will close at 7 p.m. Eastern Time in the state of Vermont, and it will probably be the very first state called, and it will be called for Kamala Harris. In fact, when the polls close at 7 p.m., Wolf Blitzer may break in and say, we've got our first race to call, breaking news happening now, the state of Vermont, and its 3 electoral college votes going to Kamala Harris. That's going to surprise not a single one of you. The surprise will be if Georgia, when the polls close at 7 p.m., comes in and they call it for Harris or Trump. If they call Georgia for Trump or Harris within the first 30 minutes after it closes, it's going to be a big night for one of those candidates. Some states you can call very quickly. For example, West Virginia will close at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to call that one for Donald Trump pretty quick. And the reason is because the pollsters use a very good model based on who voted. You've got to understand this. We know when the polls close, the modelers for calling the races, they look at key areas of states. So they're not looking, for example, let's take Rabun County, Georgia. I'm on the radio up there in Habersham County, actually south of there. The signal picks up into Rabun County. Rabun County is where my family and I, we'd love to go up there to the mountains to Lake Burton. I'd love a house on Lake Burton one day if I become a bajillionaire. Lake Rabun actually is a little more private nonetheless. I digress. That county is going to vote for Donald Trump. That county is a massively Republican county. And you know what? The exit pollsters are not there. They don't care about Rabun County. Why? Because it's not a swing county. The exit pollsters, they're in Cobb County. The exit pollsters, they're in Henry County. The exit pollsters are in Houston County. The exit pollsters are in parts of North Fulton County. The exit pollsters, in other words, are in the swing areas of the swing counties of the swing states. And if, based on their modeling, they see the vote coming in disproportionately for one candidate or the other in those areas, they can call a state very early. This isn't actually rocket science. You just have to have a good understanding of statistics, and most people don't, so they see conspiracy theories. It's like, for example, Fox News was able to call Arizona. To this day, Republicans are mad at Fox News for calling Arizona. They got it right. People forget they got it right. Why did they get it right? Because they had great statisticians, and they could model Arizona accurately enough to know that Donald Trump had lost Arizona in 2020. Same thing with Georgia and Biden. I suspect this time is going to be different. Based on what I'm seeing on the ground right now, I suspect they may be able to call Arizona. Arizona's going to close at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. They may be able to call it pretty quick for Trump. But that's what you need to know for Election Day. Do not believe any exit polling data until after the sun goes down, because it's not going to be adjusted. And keep in mind the flow of the states as things get started after the polls close, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. All of the swing states except Nevada will be closed by 9 p.m. Eastern. Nevada closes at 10 p.m. Nevada is the least important of the swing states. Why? Because it's only got 6 electoral college votes. Arizona has 11. Wisconsin has 10. Michigan has 15. North Carolina and Georgia both have 16, and Pennsylvania has 19. Nevada is gravy. If it's a very tied race at 9 p.m., Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District will matter. There are 5 congressional districts in Nevada. There are 5 electoral college votes. There are 3 congressional districts. The 2nd Congressional District there is the Democratic District. Nebraska divides its electoral college votes up, 2 for the winner and then 1 for each congressional district. But this is going to be a pretty straightforward night. I just don't want you to get ahead of yourselves. I want you to subscribe, and we're going to push this out to everybody tomorrow just so you have it, so you'll be more informed than all your friends. If you text DATA to 33777 right now, text the word DATA to 33777, that top link back, subscribe to the show notes. Now, if you follow that link, you're going to get a discounted for a paid subscription, but you don't even need a paid subscription for the show notes. Why? For tomorrow, I've already done it. It's going to go out when the show starts at noon tomorrow, and it's going to give you, here's the Electoral College from 2020, here's the Electoral College shift for 2024, here are the undecided states, here are the poll closing times, here's when the exit polls roll out, here's when you can start believing the exit polls. Until then, don't believe anything. And I want you all to have that for tomorrow. It's very important to me that you have this so you're prepared for election night, and you'll be the most informed person in your circle of friends. All right, before I get out of here, I got to tell you about Swiss America. Did you all see, by the way, despite the interest rate cut from the Fed, mortgage interest rates have gone up, and it's a sign of they're worried about election instability is the way they're interpreting it. There's lots of instability out there. Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time. They are rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they can educate you on protecting your assets. They have this report called The Secret War on Cash. I've got a copy of it. It takes less than 15 minutes to read, and it can help you with your retirement and finances. To get a copy completely for free, all you do is you call or text them at 800-289-2646. What do you say to them, or what do you text them? My name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. The All-Out War on Cash includes digital forms of currency. It's spreading. The government tracking how you spend money. Call or text 800-289-2646. That's 800-289-2646. Just text them my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. You can also go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, but it's even easier. If you don't want to deal with people, just text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 800-289-2646. 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
You can follow Eric around on social media at EW Erickson on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And check him out at EWErickson.com.
151 in the Cool Ray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Heads up, crash is cleared 85 southbound before 17th Street, exit 84. However, delays in the Midtown continue. This report brought to you by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Learn more about their support of common threats and nutrition education at anthem.com/dream. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthcare Plan of Georgia, Inc. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Election Day 2024.
Your vote counts.
I will stop the invasion.
Listen all day and night for up-to-the-minute election coverage.
We are focused on the needs of the American.
Election Day is tomorrow. And beginning at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, listen for our special in-depth election coverage with results and analysis.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric Erickson. Let's talk about second opinions. When you get diagnosed with something, you want another doctor to take a look, give you their advice, you get a second opinion. Maybe you should consider getting a second opinion on your health insurance plan. Hip Nation can give you that second opinion. You know, you're paying outrageous premiums. You've got employees who can barely afford insurance for themselves, much less have their families, or maybe you can't even afford to offer anything to your employees at all. Look, as a small business owner myself, I know the struggles of trying to provide quality health care for your employees, and you're busy. Well, take the time to go to hipnation.com, and you'll get a free quote. You'll find you've got other options for health care for your employees. Why continue to pay so much for health insurance when there's another better option? Go to hipnation.com. Get your second opinion today. Hip Nation has better health care, lower costs. Yes, it actually is possible. Hipnation.com. That's HIPnation.com. Go check them out today.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed the musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you could have a crawl space problem. That's where AquaGuard comes in, a Groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at aquaguard.net/row. And while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Shane Company knows shopping for diamonds is a big deal. We've been servicing Atlanta for nearly 50 years, so we know exactly how to help you find your dream engagement ring. At Shane Company, we work with your budget. Choose from our beautiful hand-picked diamonds and gemstones. Select a setting, then add an engraving. It's that easy. Your ring also comes with a free lifetime warranty. Atlanta, this is our promise to you. Come check out one of our 3 local stores, Duluth, Alpharetta, or Kennesaw. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Kamala Harris worked with Joe Biden to make things cost less for all Americans. Here are a few examples of what they did. They made a rule that prescription drugs can't cost more than $2,000 for people on Medicare like seniors and the disabled. They lowered the cost of inhalers to $35. They lowered hearing aid prices by making them available over the counter. And they lowered the price of insulin to $35 per month. Paid for by American Independent Radio.
The biggest mistake a homeowner can make when doing an addition or home renovation is they go right to a builder or contractor. This is a reasonable mistake to make. But why? Because you need a plan. You need architectural documents to convey your ideas to a builder. Hi, I'm Richard Taylor, Chief Architect with Sketchhouse. Let's get those marvelous ideas out of your head and onto paper, and now the power is in your hands. Builders will clear their calendars for you if you have architectural drawings in hand. Visit sketchhouse.com, sketch, HAUS.com, and let's get started.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Get the podcast, live stream, email, and social media links by texting Eric to 33777 now.
Welcome, greetings. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. I, my friends, want to prepare you for when we come back. When we come back, I'm going to play for you the advertisement that Democrats and Republicans both believe turned Donald Trump's campaign around. It's not what you're thinking, probably. And it raises all sorts of difficult questions for the Democrats. All sorts of difficult questions for the Democrats. I'll play that when we come back. Right now, I gotta tell you, Donald Trump came to my town last night. He was in Macon, Georgia, not 5 miles from me. And I got a lot of people emailing, are you going? Absolutely not. Nope. So there's this thing that happens at Trump rallies. You may not be aware of this, but there's this thing that happens at Trump rallies. It's called people show up. And I don't like them. And so there was no way on God's good earth I was going to show up where there were going to be people, a sea of humanity. Now, it's one thing for me to be on a stage and be an MC at an event. I've done these several times and be able to leave and get out of the crowd. I don't like to be in crowds. I don't like crowds. I don't like a sea of humanity. There was no way on God's good earth I was going to go hang out at a rally. The line started at 1 p.m. and the event didn't even start until after 6 p.m. No. I was texting back and forth with some of the Trump campaign team, and I told them I'm going to be on my front porch with bourbon and cigars. If you want to come by, you're more than welcome to get out of the event. They were all in the motorcade, so they couldn't come. I was supposed to go to my buddy Braden's party on Saturday night. I was still in pain from my braces. I got sick on Saturday night. Thankfully, it wasn't. Thought it was a stomach bug. I think I just got food poisoning. Had to headed up to Rome, Georgia, to go to a birthday party on Saturday night. Had to turn around and get back home because I was so sick by the time I got home. Thankfully, better Sunday night. But no, I was not going to go to this rally. God bless him. I invited his campaign team over to sit on my front porch if they didn't want to hang out at the billionth rally for the day. They couldn't do it. They had a great turnout. They were worried about crowd, actually. They were expecting 10,000+ people, and about 4,000 showed up. And then by the time Trump got on stage, it was the sea of humanity. It was a massive crowd that finally showed up. In Raleigh this morning, there was not a big crowd for Trump, but that's not a warning sign for Trump. That's a sign that these people early voted. Once you early vote, you check out. You know this. Those of you who already cast your ballot, now you're done with the election. And so I'm not going to a rally. But that's actually a good sign for Trump in Raleigh this morning, that he did not have this massive, massive sea of humanity. Now he's in Pennsylvania, and Harris is on stage at Scranton, Pennsylvania right now.
That musty smell in your house may be a sign of water in your crawl space. Christina Epworth here. Call American Crawl Space Solutions to make the smell and the water go away.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
It's Eric. I don't know about y'all, but life happens in our kitchen. It's where we have our memories, our family time, our laughs. Well, you don't want a lot of downtime, but you may want to renovate your kitchen. You want one of those $1 million kitchen looks and get it at the fraction of the cost with Frugal Kitchens. They know that you've got plans for your kitchen, and they want to help you. And here's why I love them. They can have you cooking in 5 days from the start of construction and get you 18 months no-interest financing. FrugalKitchens.com. That's where you want to check them out. FrugalKitchens.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Monica Pearson for Superior Plumbing. Did you know Superior is probably the #1 installer of water heaters in Atlanta? If your water heater is over 10 years old, time to replace, and be surprised on the improvements it will make in giving you plenty of hot water. Superior offers a 10-year warranty.
News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story on the eve of Election Day. Fulton County election officials try to reassure residents and the nation they are ready for this election.
What you will see tomorrow is one of the best and well-run elections that you have seen.
Fulton County Elections Board Chair Sherry Allen predicts residents will be proud of how smoothly elections will go this year. It's a nod to the previous criticisms and suspicions around long lines and lagging results.
The poll workers are well trained, they are ready, and by 8 o'clock, we should know who is what, whoever the residents have voted for.
The county says its 177 poll locations expect high turnout, and they believe they can handle it with little wait time. Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says they are working around the clock to make sure the election runs smoothly.
Your local election officials will work around the clock tomorrow to ensure everything runs smoothly.
He expects over 1 million voters could show up to vote on Tuesday after about 4 million voted early. Our in-depth election night coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We will have complete coverage of all the races and results as they come in, and the next morning on 95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station. 62 degrees in Atlanta. Do clouds bring us any rain? Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. The Gwinnett County Police Department is providing additional resources on Election Day.
We want to ensure that the citizens here, the voters mainly, that they feel safe when they're going out tomorrow and casting their votes.
Corporal Juan Matiedo with Gwinnett Police says officers have received additional election security and response training and have been instructed to patrol polling areas as frequently as possible. A man's under arrest after a double shooting leaves one person dead in Cobb County. Courtney Woolard of Austell is charged with murder and aggravated assault. Police say Woolard shot 2 people early Sunday at a home on Linworth Boulevard. Police identify the shooting victim as Jeffrey Moore. He died after he was shot in the abdomen. The other shooting victim is not yet identified. No word on a motive. The suspect is held without bond at the Cobb County Jail. A man is sentenced to 10 years in prison in Cherokee County for stealing over $1.3 million from his own mother. Woodstock police started investigating after a family member reported the victim's bank account had been depleted and she was about to be evicted from the assisted living facility where she lives. 64-year-old Thomas North III is charged with neglect, exploitation, and theft of an elderly person. It is now 2:02.
Linda here for Atlanta Vision Institute. I'm here to introduce you to a new procedure that Dr. Ashraf is performing called laser optics. This changed my life, folks. I was so tired of wearing contacts and glasses. The glasses were not around when I needed them. I had astigmatism, so the contacts didn't fit me well, and I had beginning stages of cataracts. So I went in. I was a great candidate for laser optics. It was a quick, painless procedure. The next day, it was like everything was in HD. The colors were more vibrant. The leaves were more vibrant. The sky was more vibrant. My husband was better looking. Everything was great. Laser optics with Dr. Ashraf, Atlanta Vision Institute. Go to the website 2020atlanta.com to find out more information. Also, take the quiz to see if this is a procedure that's good for you. Your medical insurance may cover it. That's 2020atlanta.com.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? Well, that's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They'll handle repairs on your old home and make price-boosting upgrades at no upfront cost. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Mark Arum.
And I knew you folks would step up.
He knows Atlanta.
Ask the girl behind the counter, what's your most popular cookie?
And Atlanta knows him.
Today, all of them.
Mark Arum.
He's the guy that talked about us on the radio.
Tomorrow at 9.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Motorcycle riders like you are a different breed. You don't just ride your bike, you're obsessed. So if someone causes you to lay your bike down, you need a different kind of attorney, one that understands bikers and their rights. Eric Von Hessler here for my friends at Steel Horse Law, the Stein and Karen Law Group, motorcycle injury lawyers who ride. You can trust them on the road and in the courtroom. Steel Horse Law can help you get back on your feet, medical bills paid, and your case resolved. Trust is everything, and results matter. Free case evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
At 2:05, Veronica Harrell is in the traffic center.
Saying good afternoon to you, Bill. And right now, folks are running into delays over in North Fulton County because of construction. Georgia 400 northbound at Windward Parkway, exit 11, and knocks out a right lane. More construction is over in Lawrenceville, 316 westbound at Cedars Road. It blocks a left lane, causing delays there. And downtown, just volume building now, 75, 85 north and south. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy and breezy today with a few isolated rain showers, high 68.
It's 60 in Roswell, 62 in College Park, and 58 in Loganville. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. One last day for this infernal, never-ending, interminable election. And then we'll be 1,000 some odd days from 2028. How about them apples? I'm so ready for this to be over. I am ready. I think I speak for all Americans at this point when I say, at this point, I don't care who wins, just let it be over. Let it be over quickly. I hope whoever wins in a landslide so we know by like 10 p.m. on election night we can all go to bed happy or sad. I do have to tell you, though, that if your world is going to be shaken by one of these people winning, you need to work on your spiritual life, because a life is too short to be whipped into existential frenzy over who the president of the United States is going to be. Now, I want to talk to you about a moment, and I was reading, I got to give credit to John Ellis, because I had heard this from people, and he writes a political email, and I get it. I subscribe so you don't have to, and he points it out. I had talked to several Democrats of prominence, and I've talked to Republicans, and all of them have been telling me that this ad stopped Kamala Harris in her tracks and started the rebound for Donald Trump, and that when you model out when the ad started, you can see a direct correlation to Donald Trump turning his campaign around. We need to set the stage here for this, and I'll credit John Ellis with this part of it. You know, we begin with Joe Biden and his disastrous debate performance, and he's got to bail. He's in free fall in the polling. Donald Trump's rebounding. Democrats are pouncing. Joe Biden's got to go away. They have the Republican convention. It ends on a meandering, undisciplined speech by Donald Trump. And then Kamala Harris comes out and becomes the nominee. She goes through the Democratic convention. She gets a polling bounce. She's ahead in the polling. And she and Donald Trump have a debate, and it is disastrous for Donald Trump. And he begins sliding in the polls, complete campaign freak out. What are they going to do? And then they release this ad. And this ad halts all of the downward trajectory for Trump. It halts all of the upward trajectory for Harris and begins to drag Harris down and pull Donald Trump back up in the polling. It's been vilified by the media. It has been attacked as demagoguery and hateful, and it's worked. Before I play it, I need to talk about Willie Horton. The Democrats have developed a mythology about Willie Horton. In 1988, Al Gore attacked Michael Dukakis over Willie Horton. Willie Horton was a prisoner in Massachusetts. Willie Horton happened to be a black man serving a life prison sentence, but he was on furlough. In Massachusetts had an idea of furlough. And while he was serving, he was allowed out for weekends. He failed to return and committed assault, armed robbery, and rape in Maryland, where to this day he's in jail. Al Gore used Willie Horton against Michael Dukakis to show that he was soft on crime. And Al Gore lost the primary. Well, George H.W. Bush resurrected the Lee Atwater attack. Lee Atwater was a famous campaign consultant for George H.W. He was ruthless. And he had a quote. The quote was, "By the time we're finished, they're going to wonder whether Willie Horton is Dukakis' running mate." Well, the Democrats, ever since, the ad was powerful. The ad was powerful. Willie Horton was allowed out of prison on a weekend and raped someone and committed armed robbery in Maryland while he was out of prison on the weekend, thanks to Michael Dukakis' weak on crime policies in Massachusetts. And then Michael Dukakis, on a stage, was asked by Bernard Shaw of CNN, if someone raped your wife or murdered your wife, should they get the death penalty? And he hesitated and said no. It amplified the Willie Horton attack. It showed Michael Dukakis as soft on crime, and George H.W. Bush crushed him. To this day, the Democrats claim that Willie Horton was a racist, nasty ad. And George H.W. Bush and Lee Atwater were racists for running the ad because they can't handle the truth. The ad was damning because it showed the Democrats to be weak on crime, and Al Gore himself had used Willie Horton. Now they're going to do that to this ad from Donald Trump. This is the ad. By now, you probably know what ad I'm talking about. This is the ad.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
That's the ad. That is the ad the Democrats hate. That is the ad vilified by the media. In fact, John Ellis in his email points to this, how ABC News characterized it. Millions of dollars from Republican groups and figures are being poured into an anti-transgender ad criticizing policies that support the trans community, despite these issues being among the least important concerns motivating voters headed into the 2024 election. Do you know the name of the ad? Do you know what they called the ad, what the title of the ad is? Every ad has a title. Do you know what this ad was called? Nonsense. Nonsense. That ad saved Donald Trump's free fall and caused him to rebound. If you're a Democrat, it may make you very mad to know that, but this ad had an effect with young black men. It had an effect with moms. And here's the problem for the Democrats. The Democratic Party has gone all in on trans rights. In fact, at the end of the ad, the video shows Kamala Harris with a picture of that guy who stole people's luggage, would dress in dresses and wear bright red lipstick and had a shaved head and would dress up as a dog to have sex with other men. And then also with Rachel Levine, the Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services. It's got an arrow and it says Kamala Harris is for they, them, and shows them. And then the ad pivots to Donald Trump. And it says Trump tax cut benefited the middle working class. And it shows a picture of a Hispanic family, a mother and a father and their smiling child. It says Donald Trump is for you. Kamala Harris is for they, them. Donald Trump is for you. Every major Democratic strategist I've talked to and every major Republican strategist I've talked to says that is the ad that saved Donald Trump. And that's a problem for Democrats because Democrats have gone all in on trans rights. I don't want to offend any of you, but I know I'm going to because you're an easily offended group of people. Transgenderism is weird. It is not normal. It is an affront to science and basic biology. And a whole lot of people, including gay people, concluded with the end of gay marriage, you know what, we've got equality, let's let everybody alone. And you know what the white progressive Democrats did is say, we can't leave people alone. Now we need to allow boys to chop off their biological reproductive organs and girls to chop off their breasts, and we need taxpayer funds for it. And we need you to be convinced that a boy is a girl and a girl is a boy. For the Democrats running against Donald Trump claiming that that the Republicans are weird, this is not only weird, it's offensive. It doesn't just violate basic tenets of religion for Muslims, Jews, Hindus, and Christians. It violates basic science. For a party that claims itself to be pro-science, it is not scientific to say boys can become girls. And when you trot out a bunch of experts that say actually it is, and you find out your PhDs have PhDs in art history and sociology, not in hard sciences. You have hospitals performing surgeries contrary to state law. You know, down in Texas, the Biden administration is prosecuting a whistleblower. Oh, the state law prohibits trans surgeries on minors, and the whistleblower actually documented that it was happening. The Biden administration is prosecuting the whistleblower. Not only are they prosecuting the whistleblower, they tried to use a U.S. attorney who had been disbarred by the state for failure to pay dues to do so. Democrats have a huge problem here because the trans issue is not going away because the trans agenda is a militant agenda. And it is an agenda that offends black voters and Hispanic voters and Asian voters and working class white voters who do not think, regardless of your own personal picadillos, you know, a lot of these people are like, you know what, if you want to do this, go for it, but I don't want my tax dollars used on it, and certainly not for prisoners. And here comes Kamala Harris, who says that the government itself should fund it. The government itself should pay for the transitions of prisoners. And the Trump campaign used the most prominent black voice on radio, Charlemagne, to ridicule it. And by the way, he's a Harris supporter. And even he is ridiculing this as nonsense.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I got to tell you, one of the reasons that I want Trump to win tomorrow is for the Democrats to have to reconcile themselves to this stuff. The major donors of the Democratic Party are progressive wokes, and they used their money to force the Democrats to move left on a host of these issues. And in moving left on these issues, they've moved the media on these issues. And in moving the media on these issues, they've alienated the media and the Democrats from mainstream middle-class voters who are fine, whatever your picadillos are behind the scenes, but don't want it imposed on them and their families. They have radicalized teachers to cover up what's happening in schools, and the best the Democrats can do is deny that it's even happening when it is happening and it's documented, and then you're a bigot for pointing it out. The Democratic Party needs to lose tomorrow to come back to common sense, frankly. If the Democratic Party does not lose tomorrow, it's going to think that this crazy issue is mainstream. If the Democratic Party doesn't lose tomorrow, it's going to think itself losing its mind on these cultural issues is a good thing. It's why, more than anything else, I think Donald Trump needs to win, is because the Democrats have gone nuts, and they and their chorus in the media say it's the Republicans who've lost their mind. It is not the Republicans chopping off the parts of children, claiming that to be normal. It's the Democratic Party doing it, and they can't only admit that they're doing it, but then they call you a bigot when you point out it's actually happening. They've got to lose tomorrow to come back to their common sense.
When the world seems crazy, he'll keep you sane. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
220 in the Coolway Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Well, the construction has wrapped up on the East Freeway. I-20 eastbound at 285. All lanes are now back open, but still you're dealing with a tap of the brakes as you travel through DeKalb County. This report brought to you by Publix Supermarkets. Enjoy savings at Publix with more than 40 new buy one, get one deals every week. Discover additional ways to save at clubpublix.com. Terms and conditions apply. And then over in the Noonan area, pretty bad crash as lanes blocked over on State Route 154 at Raymond Hill. Avoid. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
The polls say it's a dead heat.
If Kamala Harris gets 4 more years.
Election day is tomorrow.
We are not going back. Whatever happens in this election,
The American people are fed up.
We've got Election Day covered.
Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
95.5 WSB.
Your 2024 election station.
It's my favorite time of year. I love spending time with family, enjoying delicious, nutritious food and bread. That's right, real bread, not that enriched stuff you see on the grocery shelves. This is Sue from Bread Beckers in Woodstock with Sue's Healthy Minute. My family and I were blown away from the health benefits of making real bread from freshly milled whole grains. After more than 30 years in business, we are more than a kitchen store. We are a real food store where you can get everything you need to make real bread for your family. Come to the Bread Beckers store in Woodstock this holiday season. We offer a complete line of grains, beans, sweeteners, and other whole foods, and check out our top-of-the-line kitchen equipment, including grain mills, pressure cookers, freeze dryers, and more. Our infused olive oils and vinegars are a huge hit. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff will help you find the perfect gift. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Dave Baker here for Air Quality Systems. If you haven't had your heating and air ducts cleaned in the last 5 years, you need Air Quality Systems. They'll come to your house and clean all that gunk out of your ductwork. That's all they do. They won't wash your siding. They won't clean your carpet. They'll just professionally clean your ducts to the same standards using the same process that they use to clean at UGA, at Children's Healthcare, and at other major hospitals in the metro area. You'll get upfront, all-in pricing over the phone, and your ducts will be cleaned. Simply go to airqualitysystems.com and breathe easy.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz, and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no, and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
Y'all, it's Eric. Listen, owning a business is challenging. I know, particularly with economic turmoil, every dollar matters. Every wasted minute is wasted money. You want your team as proficient and sharp as ever. That's why I use Vision Computers, and you should too. At Vision Computers, they do managed service for $179 per computer per year. One of the smartest investments you can make to keep your team and your company running smoothly. Call them at 404-COMPUTER. Go to visioncomputers.com. Picture this. No more downtime, no more tech frustrations. No more wondering if your systems are secure. Vision Computers takes care of everything with fast, reliable tech support from professionals ready to help, typically in less than 15 seconds. They've got over 4,000 Google 5-star reviews. They know what they're doing. And when you buy a PC from Vision, you're not just getting a computer, you're getting a system tailored to your exact needs. Give them a call, 404-COMPUTE, or go to visioncomputers.com. Vision Computers can build you what you need, but even if you didn't buy from them, they can be your tech support solution. 404-COMPUTE.
Nobody wants to think about their septic system. Hi, I'm Shannon. I started Scorpion Septic so you don't have to. My licensed, insured, experienced team responds 24/7 with fast, on-time service, upfront pricing, and high-quality work.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump-out charge with your repair. Call for more information. ScorpionSepticServices.com.
ScorpionSepticServices.com. Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I'm going to jump back to the phones here. CC has been waiting super patiently. Sorry it's taken me so long to get to you. How are you?
Oh, I am so glad to be on, and I am more than happy to wait.
Great.
I was fine this morning until I heard some news at noon. Two things, and I'll come back to the second one last. I am a ex-wife of a U.S. Army Ranger, mother of a U.S. Army Ranger. And today it was reported on the news, which makes me think it was the October surprise that was suppressed, and now it's a November surprise, that Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense, head of the Pentagon failed to get ballots to every military member and their families abroad and even here in the United States on bases, said they didn't have enough. They also failed in educating these military members who write a blank check with their lives made out to the United States of America to serve and fight for the freedoms. This is a federal suppression of voters' rights and suppression of the vote. And I do not know how we did not hear about this before now.
So, and for those of you who just tuning in, so you understand what the situation is if you are a vet, if you're in the military and you contacted your state for an absentee ballot, this doesn't affect you. But there are some military personnel who vote by federal write-in absentee ballot. And federal write-in absentee ballots, you just vote for president and vice president. You don't vote for Senate. You don't vote for Congress. You vote for president and vice president. And a number of members of Congress have gotten complaints from members of the military that the supplies that they're used to having for these federal write-in absentee ballots are not on base. And the Defense Department say, well, you can go online now and get them, but they didn't tell anybody you could go online to get them. And that appears to be the hang-up. So here's the situation. Again, and this is really important. And Cece, I'm glad you brought this issue up because I had it in the show notes on Friday. Forgot to bring it up. If you have requested your absentee ballot from your state and you're in the military active duty, it's already gone. And not only that, you are allowed a week past the election to have your vote count. So if your ballot is postmarked by Election Day and wherever you are stationed abroad, and it shows up a week later, they have to count your ballot. But a lot of voters who are in the military, they use the federal write-in absentee ballots, and they're used to being able to pick them up on post at base, filling them out, and sending them in. And the federal government saying, well, there's an online portal now that you can use. Well, they didn't notify everybody. Yeah, complete screw up, probably willful by the Department of Defense. Now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier, you can get 3 of them right now. You save $200. You get them for less than $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. What is the Eden Pure Thunderstorm? It's an air purifier. It gets rid of dust. It gets rid of pollen, but it also eliminates odors. It generates ozone. Ozone has a power where it latches onto and attracts odor ions. So it pulls those odor ions to them. Odors are caused by a charged particle called an ion. Because of the way ozone works, it attracts the odor particle to the ozone, and then it wipes out the ion. The ozone essentially destroys itself and the odor-causing ion at the same time. And because it's ozone, it can go everywhere. It can go into the cracks and crevices that you can't. It can go into the furniture mattress pad that you can't. And it wipes out those odors and does very well. You get 3 of these for less than $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3. You get 3 of them. You save $200. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code ERIC3, ERICK3.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. It's an update on election 2024. A message today from Georgia's top election official with less than 24 hours until the polls open.
Our systems are secure and our people are ready.
Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger says the record early voting proves wrong one idea.
If you're one of the 4 million voters who have voted early, congratulations. You have made history, but you've also dispelled Stacey Abrams' false narrative that it's hard to vote here in Georgia.
He says the early votes have to be tabulated by 8 p.m. election night, so Raffensperger expects the bulk of the results to come in quickly. 78 million people nationwide have voted early, including those 4 million here in Georgia. CBS's Major Garrett on the threat for violence.
Local police departments, county sheriffs are much more sensitized to this issue than they were in 2020. 2020, they were caught completely off guard by this whole idea. They are not anymore. And there is very strong collaboration between states, localities, and the federal government on these questions.
Georgia has 16 electoral votes up for grabs, but the biggest prize among the swing states tomorrow is Pennsylvania's 19, which is why both candidates are doing last-minute campaigning there today. The FBI in Atlanta arrested a 28-year-old man wanted for murdering his girlfriend's 10-month-old baby in Rockford, Illinois. Jatwantre Pickett is charged with first-degree murder. The FBI located the suspect in Atlanta late last week and arrested him with help from Atlanta and DeKalb County Police. Pickett was taken into custody without incident. He also has outstanding warrants on other charges, including stalking and domestic battery. 6 people are arrested after a fight at Cumberland Mall. Officers responded to reports of a fight involving multiple groups of teens. The people involved ran away and some resisted arrest. 1 adult and 5 teens are now under arrest. It is 2:32.
Hey, y'all, it's Eric Erickson. Let's talk about second opinions. When you get diagnosed with something, you want another doctor to take a look, give you their advice, you get a second opinion. Maybe you should consider getting a second opinion on your health insurance plan. Hip Nation can give you that second opinion. You know, you're paying outrageous premiums. You've got employees who can barely afford insurance for themselves, much less have their families, or maybe you can't even afford to offer anything to your employees at all. Look, as a small business owner myself, I know the struggles of trying to provide quality health care for your employees, and you're busy. Well, take the time to go to HipNation.com, and you'll get a free quote. you'll find you've got other options for health care for your employees. Why continue to pay so much for health insurance when there's another better option? Go to hipnation.com. Get your second opinion today. HipNation has better health care, lower costs. Yes, it actually is possible. HipNation.com. That's HIPNation.com. Go check them out today.
Christina Edwards here. If your home is like mine, it is built on our famous Georgia red clay, which absorbs moisture and is very slow to dry out. It can cause a drainage issue in your crawl space, potentially growing mold and producing that musty smell. But call my friends at American Crawl Space Solutions. They will walk you through the issue and only suggest the repairs you need to solve the problem. Visit AmericanCrawlSpaceSolutions.com to schedule your free in-home consultation.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
The following is a paid commercial announcement.
Kamala Harris worked with Joe Biden to make things cost less for all Americans. Here are a few examples of what they did. They made a rule that prescription drugs can't cost more than $2,000 for people on Medicare like seniors and the disabled. They lowered the cost of inhalers to $35. They lowered hearing aid prices by making them available over the counter. And they lowered the price of insulin to $35 per month. Paid for by American Independent Radio.
If you have COPD, here are some reasons to go see your pulmonologist again. 1. Those flare-ups you keep having, they have the chance to cause permanent lung damage. 2. We now know a certain type of inflammation can cause flare-ups for some people. And 3.
When can I see Grandma?
Need more reasons? Visit www.livewithcopd.com.
At 2:34, Veronica Harrell is in the traffic center.
And just talking about a few brake lights, both directions downtown, 75, 85 north and south, and construction Peachtree Road northbound north of Collier Road takes out one lane of travel. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Cloudy and breezy today with a few isolated rain showers, high 68.
And right now it is 61 degrees in Kennesaw. It is 58 in Conyers and 60 degrees in East Point. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, New York Times technology union members are threatening to strike. Here's what they want. They want a ban on scented products in break rooms. They want unlimited break time. They want accommodations for pet bereavement. And my personal favorite, they want a mandatory trigger warning in company meetings discussing events in the news. There's a Pinochet joke in there somewhere, but I'd get hate mail if I made it. Good Lord, these people are children. Fire them all. Good grief. They're threatening to strike on Election Day so they can't do the election needle maneuver thing for the Times. Just ridiculous. What a bunch of children. Okay. I gotta talk to you about this election. I want to play you this clip. This is from Chuck Todd. He was on Meet the Press yesterday, making a point a lot of people have been making lately.
It may also be that you shouldn't nominate an anti-democratic felon. You know, I mean, it may not be about the issues. So it may be about the person who's
This is Jen Psaki talking
lots of ways
first.
to look at it.
I'm not going to sit here and say that the Democrats are the paragons of virtue and the defenders of democracy. I think there's plenty of evidence that when you nominate somebody who didn't win any one vote, it's hard to suggest you're the defenders of democracy. But I do think that the Republicans in this cycle have abandoned what they traditionally stood for. And so I think there should be a reckoning inside our party.
Chuck?
Well, look, the fascinating aspect of this is neither party is going to be satisfied. They're not going to accept defeat. The question is, do you accept defeat because you don't like the vote count? Or do you not accept defeat because you don't like how the party did it, right? My greatest fear about this election is is if Trump wins, I think it, for a generation, is what they believe this is how you conduct yourself in politics, and that this will cement this for a generation. I fear the transactional nature of him could actually turn the party into a kleptocracy if we're not careful. And one thing about political parties when they lose, they end up trying to emulate the party that wins, not necessarily. And while Democrats have been trying to be the anti-version of this, losing 2 out of 3, there's going to be its own reckoning inside the left that could have some saying, hey, if you can't beat them, join them. You know, whether it's lying or exaggerating, whatever you want to. I do think that is what I think is on the ballot about our politics going forward for another half generation.
You notice the fallout and the logical conclusion for Chuck Todd there is that the Democrats are going to become like the Republicans, as opposed to realizing they need to move right, which is actually a big fear of the progressives. But larger issue here, I actually am in the minority on this, but I think I'm right. I think Donald Trump has every incentive to, if he loses, accept the results and move on graciously. Now, I know you're not hearing that from anybody else. And I look, I totally acknowledge that I could be wrong. The past is the best indicator of the future, and given 2020 and how he handled it and claimed it was stolen, I mean, I know if Kamala Harris wins, every Trump supporter is going to say they stole it. A buddy of mine actually sent me another video that is circulating that shows a bunch of voters in Pennsylvania. Their birthdays are less than 9. This actually came up in 2020. It's the same thing. These are voters who are so old that it messes up the computers now, and it makes them look like they're 9 years old as opposed to 89 or 90 years old. This came up in 2020. Republicans are circulating these videos again. They're not true. Even the Republican National Committee is saying they're not true, but they're still being circulated by a bunch of Republicans already trying to seed the ground that the race was stolen. It's actually a terrible sign for the Trump campaign that his supporters are spreading these rumors and these edited videos to show, oh, they stole it. They stole it. They actually, I guess, think he's going to lose tomorrow. Donald Trump has every reason to accept his loss graciously tomorrow because he has a prison sentence waiting for him on the other side of the election. That New York case. The judge in that case has postponed sentencing until after the election. If Donald Trump argues that it was stolen, he's going to go to jail. You and I both know that judge in New York is going to throw him in prison if Donald Trump loses and makes a big deal out of the loss and claims it was stolen. The judge is going to throw him in prison. He's still got Jack Smith waiting for him. Jack Smith is appealing the classified documents case in Florida. Jack Smith is moving forward with the case in Washington, D.C. The Fani Willis case in Georgia is imploding, but Jack Smith's cases are not really imploding, and Jack Smith could potentially get a new judge in Florida that's sympathetic to him. Donald Trump, if he plays it nice, he's already said if he loses, he's never running again. If he loses, he's never running again. He's already said it. That not me, that's Trump. He said it multiple times now on the campaign trail. So if Donald Trump does lose, and I actually think he's going to win, but if he loses, he comes out and he congratulates Kamala Harris on making history and says it is a historic moment, the first woman to be president of the United States. Ha ha, Hillary, you sucker. Kamala Harris could do what you couldn't do. And he departs gracefully. That may neutralize the issue. You'll have reporters say, I can't believe he did it. The judge in New York will look at it and say, I think he probably doesn't need to go to jail now. He's not a menace to society. Kamala Harris can say, okay, it's time to move on. I'm going to pardon Hunter Biden and I'm going to pardon Donald Trump. We're going to shut down the Jack Smith investigations and we're going to move on. We're going to move the country forward. She'd be able to do it. Now, of course, if Donald Trump wins, the Democrats have every incentive to play nice because they're already out there saying if Donald Trump wins, he has an enemies list and he's going to seek revenge. I want to read for you what I wrote this morning. If you haven't seen my morning piece, laid it down why I think that ultimately Trump is going to win the election. I wouldn't be surprised if Harris wins. It is that close. I wouldn't be surprised if Harris wins. But this is what I wrote this morning. On a personal note, I think too many reporters in Washington and New York have become arrogant, condescending, and inside a progressive bubble. They elevate Republican voices who hate Republicans. They do not appreciate the concerns of many ordinary middle-class Americans who actually do think letting minors chop off their breasts or biological reproductive organs is insane. And it is even more insane to let a man with his biological organs still intact hang out in a girl's bathroom. By the way, that stuff's actually happening. They've decided a lot of Americans are just not smart and don't like them, and it shows in their coverage. I think it's nuts that Democrats think it's no big deal to fill the country with illegal aliens and transform some local communities and cultures into islands of third world non-English speakers who overwhelm social services, all while the media says it's not happening and it's bigoted if you complain about it. I think the Democrats have been feckless and weak in how they're letting Ukraine defend itself and have given into their anti-Semitic impulses in dealing with Israel. Because they hate Netanyahu, they forced Israel to pull punches that should have been thrown. I think they've looked and acted weak to China and have emboldened our enemies. To the south of us, China, Iran, and Russia are presently working with both the Cubans and the Venezuelans, while our sitting president drools on a beach in Delaware and tells us he's okay. Haiti's collapsed. It's rife for foreign influence. We're doing nothing. I think Democrats wrecked the economy and used members of the press to blame Trump for their own profligate spending. I think members of the press hate Donald Trump so much they went all in helping Kamala Harris. I think Democrats and the media have conspired together to destroy the credibility of the United States Supreme Court, not because its decisions, process, or appearance of impropriety, but because they don't control it. I look at the reactions to NBC News hiring Ronna McDaniel, The Atlantic hiring Kevin Williamson, the collective freak out about the Washington Post choosing not to endorse anyone, and I think these people need to be humbled. There's a story in the New York Times that a prestigious private school in New York is going to allow kids off on Wednesday if they have mental anxiety over the outcome of the election. And I think that people who have psychological pain of losing need to lose to build their character and the weak children they've raised. A country cannot sustain itself and be prosperous when it's held hostage to the whims of neurotic, wealthy, white, progressive women who write big checks to the Democrats. So, yeah, I actually hope Donald Trump wins tomorrow. I don't care for him. You all know I don't care for him. But I care for the other side even less. They are the authoritarians they warned us about, and they don't even realize it. I think we will see a bunch of Democrats flee this country if Donald Trump wins, and that's not a bad thing. We may see the entirety of MSNBC go into exile. Remember when Bill Clinton won in 1993, those of you old enough to remember, for several years thereafter, Rush Limbaugh started his show every day, America Held Hostage, day 1, day 500, day 1,000, whatever. I think you could see MSNBC do that. America Held Hostage, America in Exile, MSNBC in Exile, Rachel Maddow live from Ottawa. It would be hilarious. I actually do think a number of these Democrats have so internalized Donald Trump as an authoritarian, they will pack up and leave. When Mary became Queen of England after the turmoil following the death of Henry VIII, a lot of Protestants fled England. And on her deathbed, racked by cancer, they started coming back. They knew Elizabeth would become queen and the Protestants would be safe, and they started coming back. I think you'll see the same thing, that Donald Trump gets elected. You'll see these Democrats who have so internalized their hatred for Republicans, they pack up and leave. They go into exile. They move to France. They move to Ireland. Ireland is happily anti-Semitic these days. They'll go there. They'll go to Canada. And they'll wait out Trump. They'll see the outcome of the 2028 election. Maybe so many of them will leave that the 2028 election will handily go to the Republicans as well. I don't think so. I think many of the people who say they're going to leave, they're not actually going to. It's just something they say. Kind of wish they would. My prediction for tomorrow, I'll just throw it all out there. I think that Donald Trump is going to win, not nearly as much as I thought he was going to win 2 weeks ago. I think starting last Sunday, Donald Trump has done everything possible to remind people why they threw him out of office the first time. It wasn't stolen. Now, I know if he loses, all of his hardcore supporters will say it was stolen, so they don't actually have to deal with the fact that they nominated the weakest of the Republican contenders because they wanted a do-over against Joe Biden. But I actually think he's going to win. I think he's going to win because of the economy. I think he's going to win because people have to spend $1,100 more today on the same things they were buying just 4 years ago. Their wages have not gone up concurrently. I think he's going to win because people are tired of having illegal immigrants flood into this country. The Democrats deny that it's happening and then call you racist when you give them the data. I think he's going to win because when he was in office, the Middle East wasn't in flames and Europe wasn't at war. I think he's going to win because people are tired of the Biden-Harris administration vacillating when it comes to dictators around the world, and Harris is the Harris of the Biden-Harris administration. And I think he's going to win because people are tired of progressive neuroses guiding and governing this country, from trans issues to convinced that we're all going to die because of climate change and everything else. I think he's going to win because people don't want to be forced into battery-powered vehicles. I think he's going to win. I can be wrong. It's going to be closer than it should. In the last week, Donald Trump has done everything possible to remind American voters why they threw him out. He had Tony Hinchcliffe on stage to amplify all the concerns about racism. He said what he said about Liz Cheney. It was bad enough what he said. The media blew it out of proportion, but it's bad enough. He's alienated women who were amenable to him, even with the pro-life stance. He's just in the last week collapsed. But the early vote has been so big and so good for the GOP, and the GOP tends to win on Election Day, that I actually think he's going to win, and I think a lot of progressives are in a bubble with a lot of the pollsters. And in the process, they can't bring themselves to reconcile the data they're seeing on the ground. And the data points to Donald Trump winning. But you know, if he loses, it was stolen. Saying it was stolen means you never have to say you were sorry you picked the bad candidate. Now, let me tell you about Old Glory Bank, because it is a bank that you should be considering using by conservatives for conservatives, as these trends have started of progressives working to get banks to cancel people they don't like. Old Glory Bank stands apart. You can deposit cash in Old Glory Bank, even though it's an online bank. They got 88,000 retail locations they partnered with around the country, where you can deposit cash in your Old Glory Bank using a QR code on your phone. They've got a great app. They do mortgages. They do car loans. They do other loans. They do CDs. They've got great interest rates. They've got fantastic bank apps. The debit card is fantastic. I've used them before they were an advertiser for more than a year. In fact, I like them so much I'm an investor in the bank. I really do believe in Old Glory Bank. I think you will too. They set themselves apart as a great bank. You can get a custodial account for your kid as well, deposit their cash from lawn care, babysitting, what have you, with no fees, no fee checking, no fee savings. It's oldglorybank.com. You can get an account in less than 8 minutes online. Oldglorybank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. Oldglorybank.com.
He's got the courage to tell you the actual truth, even when it isn't popular. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
251 in the Coolray Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Well, traffic trooper JD says watch out for a crash 985 northbound, just a little north of Buford Drive, exit 4, off to the left, off to the right, and causing a few brake lights for you. This report brought to you by PureTalk.com. Stop overpaying for your cell phone plan. Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month on their 5G network. Dial pound 250 and say keyword switch now to save 50% off your first month. I'm Veronica Harrell, 95.5 WSB.
Election Day is tomorrow.
She's unfit for office.
And your voice is your power.
Your vote counts.
Everyone knows
and
it.
that's why you can count on us.
We must seize this opportunity.
Tune in throughout the day to stay up to date.
And beginning at 6 p.m. tomorrow night, listen for our special in-depth election coverage with results and analysis.
95.5 WSB, your 2024 election station.
Georgia is notorious for its humid weather, but did you know the humid air can actually damage the wooden beams under your house? Christina Edwards here. The wood absorbs all that moisture, causing floors to sag and flex. American Crawl Space Solutions can dry out your crawl space and gently push the sagging beams back into place. This will create a stronger, level floor. And that's why AmericanCrawlSpaceSolutions.com is your best value for sagging floor repair.
American Crawl Space Solutions. Foundations too.
When it comes to defending down bikers' rights, trust is everything and results matter. Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler for Steel Horse Law, local motorcycle injury attorneys who ride. They specialize in protecting bikers who've been hurt. The mega firms will send an investigator or a paralegal, not a lawyer. With Steel Horse Law, you'll meet directly with your own attorney to get you back on your feet, medical bills paid, back to work, and your case resolved. Schedule your free accident evaluation at steelhorselaw.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join Medi-Share and save even more than usual. For many families, joining Medi-Share means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, Medi-Share members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And Medi-Share is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
Greetings. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program. I'm starting to see all the wild card electoral college scenarios. A buddy of mine said, you know, if Seltzer's right, and Kamala Harris wins Iowa, we're going to have 269 in the Electoral College the way this is playing out. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I gotta tell you, I'm just ready for it to be over. We are in less than 24 hours before polls across America open and people are voting. Republicans tend to win the election day vote. They've done quite well in early voting. Let me just articulate this at the end. And I don't know that I'm right here. I could be completely wrong. This could just all be a thing in my head. Nate Silver and others have been warning about the pollsters are hurting their polls. That is, they're trying to conform their poll to everybody else's poll because they don't want to be out on a limb and say one side's going to win or the other. And I just think there's a bias in the bubble towards Kamala Harris. And I do think when you look at the early voting trends, it's gone well for Donald Trump, even though he's sabotaged himself in the past week. And I just wonder if people just can't rationalize a Trump win. And when you look at the data, though, Joe Biden is uniquely unpopular. 2/3 of the country say we're headed in the wrong direction. The number one issue is the economy. The number two issue, if not wrapped with economy, is inflation. And then the next issue is inflation. And the next issue is crime. And Donald Trump leads on all those issues. A majority of Americans, they don't like him, but they say they had a better life when he was president. I just think all that points towards Trump winning tomorrow. The only issue is the emotional appeal. Kamala Harris intentionally, over the last few weeks, did very few interviews, told very few people where she stood, and a lot of people could say, at least she's no drama. And it's not that I don't like it was the mean tweets, but I didn't like the tweets, but I also didn't like him, and I didn't like the people around him. And here comes Robert Kennedy raising his head up and saying he'd be in charge of health care, and that creeps people out. But it just feels to me like Trump, the momentum has shifted back to Harris, but that Trump's done a good enough job to get elected. But I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. I'll tell you one thing. It's not going to be stolen. And I know you think it's going to be stolen if your side loses. And that's just cheaper than rationalizing that you picked a bad horse to run your campaign on. But I think Trump wins this. We'll find out tomorrow, though. I don't think we'll be waiting weeks to figure it out. I think it'll be tomorrow night.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
So I have certain things that I drive people crazy about. And one of them is my obsession with 15-year mortgages. And I know that someone buying a home, you're not in a position almost certainly to be able to afford the payment on a 15-year loan. But if you bought a home over the last few years, you've been able to handle the payments on the much higher mortgage rates that we had when you bought that home. Now may be a great opportunity for you to refi into a 15-year loan. You're going to cut years off that mortgage. You're going to pay so much less interest. And speaking of less interest, the interest rate on a 15-year loan is usually around 0.6 of a point lower than it is on a 30-year. So you save money every possible way, building a whole lot more equity. I'm Clark Howard.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk. News, weather,
traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's news and talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local stories and update